All right. Welcome one, welcome all to our revitalized Intertwining Fates Cram Session Extend Beginner Intermediate bracket. This is going to be the first one of ideally many we're going to be able to run throughout the next few months here in the BBTag scene. I am frankly ecstatic to be back on the tournament scene. It's been way too long since we ran a Masters of. Those were awesome events, but I think there's a bit more of a novelty to being able to run a bi-weekly tournament like this, especially since we've had so many new people coming in. I'm super excited to seeing all the players that are going to be up and coming within the scene, really trying to make their stride here in this tournament. And there are a lot of new faces that are going to be doing just that. But in order to really understand the ramifications of just how cool a lot of these new players are, we need a couple old heads to really delve the scene in. And I think the best way to go ahead and do that is with some of the BBTag scene's most prized commentators here. I'm here with Lon Lily and Red E30 of the WNF team on the commentary team tonight. How you both doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited for this. I think this is alongside similarly what the Training Mode Network crew is doing. This is a really nice way to allow a lot of beginners to feel a bit more comfortable going to these tournaments, because I know places like the Big 8, like WNF, what we've been doing, it's maybe a little intimidating for a newcomer because it's an open bracket where you could have someone that just maybe picked up the game all the way to some of the heaviest hitters in the scene come out and play. So I think being able to restrict it to more of the beginner and intermediate players is going to be really nice, and I feel like this will be a lot more of a still competitive, but a comfortable environment where they can feel like they can showcase their progress a bit more this time around.
Definitely. And the biggest exciting part for me is seeing so many new faces that I have quite literally never seen, never heard of before, but showing up to the beginner style bracket. It's always really nice to see people kind of dip their toes into the game and just see how well they do. And having a comfortable environment to do it is very important, I think, for new players. It's really great that we have options such as these in our scene nowadays, and it's great to see that the community not only is staying strong but also thriving with the size of this bracket here. We got I'm really bad at math, but if I'm not mistaken, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 people. That's that's a pretty nicely sized bracket, and considering the general I guess you could call it like a limited pool of players. A 14-person bracket is nothing to
16.
Or 16? Yeah, sorry. No, yeah, 16 player bracket is definitely nothing to scoff at. That is about as big as some of our WNFs, if not bigger too. So it's really cool to see that this tournament had a lot of reach, and I'm very excited to see what the potential players have to offer here. And that being said, not everyone I see here is completely new to me. One of the matches we have over now, which is Akihisa, who is somebody that I have seen enter a WNF before. But regardless, really happy to see that this tournament was still of interest to them.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like you said, there's a lot of new players, and I think it's really neat, especially for a game that's been going on for this long. BBTag was released, I believe, in 2018. So this is a 7-year-old game, and the fact that we have a bracket of beginners, 16 players, it's really nice to see. So, but yeah, we have Akihisa Sendo lined up, and like you said, yeah, we have seen them show up to WNF a couple times, but I have not seen them play personally, but I'm really excited to see what they are willing to showcase tonight.
And locking in with the Yang Makoto team comp. I think very interesting to note here, when it comes to team compositions, I'll definitely be expecting a lot more unique team compositions. When you're starting out as a new player, there isn't a lot of idea of what stuff like meta is, what stuff like synergy is, because I think for a new player, it's not important. You understand that, and you just learn how to play a character that you enjoy. And as a result, I definitely expecting people to kind of pull up with like some of those highly recommended teams. Atkins has been working on like those recommended team comps for each characters, which are generally more solid team compositions, but not everyone necessarily subscribes to a philosophy that they have to play a team, and most newer players definitely are in the boat of playing whatever just works for them, and that is fantastic to see. I'm very interested to see what people have to offer and what they've found with those team comps that they decided to kind of play with. Not necessarily like stick with, of course, with kind of the pressure of new players. Some people gravitate towards other things, but regardless to see, I believe the experimentation is going to be through the roofs.
Yeah, that's one of the things to really highlight in these beginner tournaments, because for a lot of the people that have been playing this game for years on end and have a general understanding of what the, I guess the best way I could put it is what's generally established as the meta, generally accepted meta of BBTag right now. So when there's new players, especially when there's a group like, I'll mention TMN again because they do something very similar. For the newer players, they develop their own definition of what they think meta is, and I think it's things will be proportionately scaled to that sometimes, because if I remember correctly, Heart was a bit of a menace and quote-unquote meta-defining for the TMN community. So I'm excited to see what these new players are most comfortable with and what they're capable of showcasing, and like I said, what their definition of what they think meta is for their level of game that they're playing.
Mm-hmm. And like, not to like rag on newer players, but naturally speaking, a lot of them are not going to have a lot of that matchup experience, and there are a lot of unconventional characters in this game. Heart, perfect example, has that homing flight dash that it can be really awkward to deal with, even if you're playing a character that can handle her well. Just because you're not as experienced with the game, you're not going to have the knowledge to really handle it properly, which, like I said, perfectly fine, but it is definitely something we can expect here in these brackets. The people that kind of gravitate towards those unconventional characters and have gotten a grasp to them are naturally going to do better when it is a generally lower skill bracket, but perfect opportunity too for a lot of those newer players to get that matchup experience and train alongside those people, so when they do get to playing some of those higher end skill players, they are better prepared to deal with those scenarios. So despite the quote unquote like meta beginner brackets being different, I think it's a very good learning opportunity for a lot of them.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's a lot of times, especially when it comes to, let's just say someone that's a complete beginner joins a bracket, like let's say WNF or Big 8. There's going to be the unfortunate sometimes dice roll that is a bracket where you're just going to be paired up with a heavy hitter, and sometimes they just get blown up, and there's not a lot to really take and learn from that. So being able to be match made with people within a similar skill level will help out. I think there'll be some pretty. I think with that in mind, there's going to be a lot of implications of a bit of a back and forth between these players, and just figuring out what they are generally capable of. So it's going to be interesting, and I'm excited to see what the beginners have in store for us, because sometimes even if with how volatile this game can be, there's still so much stuff to explore. There's so much stuff to discover in this game. So I think even in brackets like these, there could be just something that just ignites something within the rest of the community to maybe think about, hey, we should look into this team more. We should look into what these players are doing and seeing if we can, learn something off of that. Because regardless of skill level, regardless if you're fighting, I definitely think there is a good opportunity to learn from another player, even if there is a huge discrepancy in skill.
Yeah, most definitely, and newer players have such a I don't think it's that out there to say that a lot of older players are kind of stuck in their ways. That kind of sounds negative, but they have this kind of functional fixedness when it comes to things, and it's hard to innovate. But the newer generation, they don't really have that knowledge. So therefore, they're very experimental. So they tend to do a lot of things that I would never think of. And, you know, that we got an Orie player up here. I've made this character for 5 years here, playing a pretty solid team, but, like, we'll see. Maybe they'll show me something new here in this first game.
Yeah, this will be interesting. So we have on the left Red Dawn versus Kizzsu, and they both have teams that, you know, I know we mentioned that there might be a little unorthodox things here and there, but they're playing both teams that are historically known to be very solid. And Kizzsu already starting off and just showing that they're pretty comfortable in some of their rotations so far.
Yeah, got those Orie ladder combos on deck. Gonna be getting some solid Oki here. Even hitting a TK too. Very solid play so far, but not baiting the burst out here. Kizzsu definitely creeping up the aggression here with his Orie, getting those low taps as well, and probably gonna be going into some more Orie Oki.
Yeah, they have their Oki on deck as well, and it's pretty interesting to see what's going on. It's opened up by a grab, but unfortunately a little too far for that to connect. This gets a happy birthday as well. This has a chance to have a dead Akatsuki, and yes, we will. I think that's... No, not dead. It's just quite.
Yeah, unfortunately did not without the DHC there, but solo tank level 2 Resonance can get a lot of chip in. Gonna be popping the laser here, but going to get... don't think that was a bit of a punish. Might have tried to up back or whatever, but Kizzsu will be winning the first game here.
Yeah. And I know we mentioned a little bit of unorthodox characters, and this might be a bit of a stretch, but I feel like Akatsuki and Blitzink have a quote-unquote unorthodox DP in some ways, just because, you know, most DPs are usually some kind of like reversal uppercut type of deal. But they have a counter on them, so in terms of the way I think about when it comes to unorthodox is that the opposing player actually has to think about some of their Oki situations and kind of approach the matchup a little differently because they have the counter.
Yeah, definitely. And for a newer player, that can be a little awkward to kind of like readjust, especially if you're kind of learning just one thing. But Kizzsu here going to be getting that Orie combo. Yeah, just trying to get in with the Izayoi 6B, keeping up the pressure once again. We didn't get to see a lot of the Izayoi last time because this Orie definitely was on a roll. Not going to be baiting that burst though, but will be maintaining the aggression still, despite all this.
Yeah. Red Dawn, unfortunately, looking a little worse for wear in terms of being in the corner. Kizzsu just has a really good handle on their team so far. Hasn't really been able to get much, but still just trying to fight their way out of this corner, but gets caught by the 4P, and not looking too good for them right now. Gets a call out on the burst with the super, and we'll be bringing the Izayoi. We haven't really seen much of them this time around in the first game.
Yeah, Izayoi is like one of those unconventional characters too that can be awkward for like new players to have to learn. But yeah, he's going to be getting that air dash into the kill on the tank here left with a solo Akatsuki and just trying to zoom in. Red Dawn popping the resonance here and going for the grab. This is going to be a good chance to get going, but unfortunately drops the combo.
Fortunate work, but unfortunately got the opening, but didn't work out, but just gets clipped in the legs, and Kizzsu up 2 games so far in this set. I think, as I mentioned with the counter DPs, is that it's the quicker ones, and like I mentioned, for some players, they have to rethink their offense in some of the Oki situations just because of how potent the counter DPs are. So I think Red Dawn could get some mileage by just letting the counter DPs rip every now and then, just to see if Kizzsu is ready for just restructuring their game plan a little bit to accommodate for that.
Yeah, definitely. And definitely some opportunities to use the parries in order to go through some assist or projectile calls. One of the more unconventional things that the parry DPs in this game do is it does make you slightly intangible if you parry something, and what makes it unique is that the parry won't trigger, so it'll leave you actionable completely while still being in full. So that is something you have to watch out for, and can be really nasty to have to deal with.
Yeah, going into game 3 here, Red Dawn is playing a little bit more of a range game, but just gets a nice fight beat, but unfortunately doesn't able to confirm off of it, just gets cut by the Izayoi 6P. And they open up again, but not looking too good, just trying to play the range game a little bit, but Kizzsu is slowly making their way in.
Definitely something to note, Kizzsu being more of an aggressive Orie player than, like, I think I would be used to some of the more, like, old dog Orie players. Yeah, just going in, going those nice posts, trying to get the frame tap and a good parry out of the situation. However, yeah, Red Dawn going to be bursting out the Akatsuki and unfortunately missing that 6-6 on tank.
Now that 6-6 is safe, but unfortunately you're left pretty wide open on Rip, so unfortunately just missed time on that. But yeah, the counter TPs are coming out of the play, and Orie is already in the red, but it just gets opened up by the throw, and Kizzsu is trying to run away with it, but unfortunately didn't work out. I don't think they're good right now. Maybe try to call it something, but unfortunately no dice, but no punish either.
Yeah, ooh, yeah, another thing, Tank does have a lot of armor in play. We're seeing some of those parry interactions. Unfortunately, couldn't get much out of it. Base the DP, but not ready for the punish. Kizzsu looking like they're pretty confident with this Orie, but she can die at any moment here.
Just going for the JC, keep her safe. Unfortunately, right in their face, but unfortunately, I don't think there's enough time to punish the Orie on the way out. But yeah, Akatsuki, one touch away, just catches a backdash with the 5B, and it's all up to solo with Tank, but it's looking a little dire right now.
Yeah, did not go into the cross trade. Might have killed there in that situation, but going in for the cross up hit here. An unfortunate 3-0 victory for Kizzsu here, as Red Dawn will be moving to the loser side of the bracket.
Yeah. I really like that Kizzsu has a pretty good handle on their team so far, making some really solid applications of Izayoi's assists. And, you know, their Orie was pretty solid, you know, especially that first game we did see a good amount of focus situations. But, Red Dawn was doing pretty well. I want to say they might have been listening to the stream a little bit because they weren't letting a lot of DPs rip in the first two games, but they were getting some decent mileage out of them in the third game. So, you know, I see a lot of promise. This team is fundamentally solid, and, you know, as far as I know in Krakenakin's video, where he recommends partners for characters, Akatsuki with Tank is one of the really solid established teams so far. So, they're not out of it just yet. Red Dawn is just being sent to the losers bracket, but they still have a chance to get out, and Kizzsu will be moving on.
Yes, and definitely a very cool first game on stream here. Got to kind of see the, you know, kind of talking about like underrepresented characters like Orie, Izayoi are, I wouldn't say incredibly rare, but definitely not the first choice for a lot of people. And the Tank is definitely one of the more uncommon ones too. And it's like very nice to see that people are gravitating towards those characters. I mean, I'm biased. I love my girl Orie, and always happy to see her. And I haven't really actually gotten to see Orie Izayoi played in a while, ever since Shige betrayed us.
Yeah, it's definitely been a while since we've seen that team, and you know, like, I like my characters with ponytails, so it's nice to see someone also pilot Izayoi. Also on the other side, it's really nice to see Tank Akatsuki, because the last time I saw that team being piloted pretty proficiently was with Neanderthal running that team. That was one of their, I know they had a couple other teams, but that was one of the teams that I remember them most fondly for. So it's nice to see some resurgence of some, you know, old teams that we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, most definitely. But talking about teams we see quite often, Yang Ruby versus Yang Makoto. Yang Makoto, definitely a pretty rare comp, Makoto being one of the underutilized characters, but Yang Ruby, probably, like, I want to say one of the more consistent team comps we've gotten to see throughout BBTag's history, even before the 2.0 era. Has a good amount of mains even to this day, despite the team, I wouldn't say falling off per se, but definitely losing value in the face of better Ruby composition. But fundamentally sound. We'll see how they operated here in this game 1.
Yeah, a little bit of a blue bee at the beginning there, but was able to stabilize it quite a bit, and just SonicSSB is just running through the hills with this comp right now, and you know, they're getting a good amount of they do have a pretty solid handle on the team, getting a really fancy or pretty nice combo here, and already taking out Akihisa's game.
Yeah, without popping the Sedments too, definitely one of the biggest threats potential has been really mitigated here, as SonicSSB kind of working on a perfect here.
Looking good so far. Trying to keep the pressure up. Yeah, just getting a nice push block. Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of meter to them right now. They actually just have 0 right now. So just not a lot of opportunities to just use another push block to get them off, but just SonicSSB's offense is just relentless right now. And provided that they don't drop this, it's going to be game 1 going to them.
Yeah, with the perfect 2, and definitely if I have learned anything from watching all the Yang Ruby players play, there might be better Ruby and Yang team comp, but the team's corner game can be absolutely disgusting. There are so many layers that you have to be aware of. You got that overhead check with Ruby, like kind of Ruby sits in the back. You got the Yang throw setups here, and just general Ruby's fundamental pressure game can be quite threatening, even with some mild assists like Yang. So we'll see how Akihisa kind of adapts to the situation.
If there's one thing I want to know on Akihisa's team is that, you know, they have Yang armor. They also have Yang, so they have access to the armor coins available to them. But another thing too is that Makoto has one of the quicker DPs in the game, so I think they could also get themselves out of some pretty sticky situations being able to utilize that if possible.
As soon as Sendo got the DP, will be actually able to pop the semblance here and goes in with the super. Definitely a very bold decision nonetheless here, going to be getting the burst into the Ruby. Yang still looking very low here. Gonna be getting the hit and no time to burst out of the situation. Yang has been clubbed and Makoto is dying here right as well.
Getting a pretty fancy combo here. Took them out of the corner, but this team still has a pretty solid OP, and yeah, just have to deal with the left right there. I don't think with Ruby's damage output is going to kill just quite yet. Actually, they might get the meat. Oh no. Actually, yeah, not quite.
Yeah, I don't know Ruby's or Yang's damage on either super, like which one is better, but regardless, gonna be getting the kill right afterwards, Drew, and SonicSSB on a terror here. 2-0, very dominant.
Yeah, they're looking very comfortable right now, and I think it's just... I think Akihisa Sendo is looking a little worse for wear in terms of how to deal with some of this, you know, just relentless pressure of what this team's doing. And just hopefully they're able to find their footing and just gain some momentum back, because their back is against the wall here.
Yeah, you know, definitely the Semblance Yang can build up so much damage that can be not necessary for the comeback, but it's a double-edged sword because SonicSSB does have that as well. Going to be carrying another pressure, but a nice DP out of the situation. It's going to be starting their own with that 4B or 5B. I don't remember what move it was, but like, yeah, SonicSSB is still going to maintain this aggression. Even if they get hit, they're not afraid to just go back in.
Yeah. Looking pretty good right now. Ruby 5B, but yeah, just gets countered by Yang 5B. And Eager Comedy just, you know, they get swung on for a second, but they're just right back at it. Just keeping the pressure up. Hit the brakes a little bit because Semblance activates. Gets a good DP going. And yeah, just trying to make something happen here. Cancels right before the last hit of the grab. And not looking too good for Akihisa Sendo right now, but getting some mileage right now, actually, though. Good pickup.
Yeah, goes in with a corner pressure and fortunately gets push block out of the situation, but this is the best Akihisa Sendo has booked all brackets and just going to be going into the Makoto. Nice poking out the Yang, but however getting sniped by the Ruby and a good tech on the throw. This is very close so far, but burst out at the wrong time. Yang might pay with her life here, and it's going to be left with the solo. Makoto gets the 2A check. Akihisa Sendo looking like they might be going down here.
Going for the extra unnecessary pepperonis, as I like to call it. But either way, Sonic SSB moving forward in this bracket, 3-0.
Yeah.
It's
just...
Hey. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Come on, let's go find them.
I was also going to say, like, I know we were talking about how Aino is kind of a quote-unquote meta-defining character for a decent, like, bit of the lifespan for TMN's brackets. And I think early on, especially for beginner brackets, and, like, this isn't to say that this character is just completely unviable, like, the higher up you get in skill, but I think Yang is also a pretty good check just because of a lot of her armored ones allow you to just play a lot more aggressively and just quite literally just blow through a lot of some of the more egregious stuff that some characters can employ. So I think it's a pretty solid check to have that character in the pocket as well. So I think in terms of some of these beginner brackets, and maybe people are just uh, struggling to find a partner character or maybe a point character to learn, I think Yang is probably a pretty solid option to just kind of get your foot in the door and just play very aggressive, as we saw with how Sonic SSB was piloting that team.
Yeah, definitely like Yang. Very affectionately in this case, is definitely like a gorilla character, and she's relatively forgiving when it comes to mash options. Though I think she's just fine enough where eventually you can get conditioned on knowing where and when to mash. So she can actually be a pretty okay character to kind of teach yourself like stuff like a Bare and like stuff how to kind of disrespect that shit, because that is a very important part of the team. But we're gonna be moving on to the next one, Black for Life versus Kizzsu again.
Yeah. Kizzsu, as we saw earlier, they got a win in the bracket. Moving on, but we're having Blake for Life come up. I have seen him quite a couple times, I believe, in a WNF. I want to say they ran something like... I wanted to say they ran some form of a Ruby team before, but they're on the Ruby Adachi this time, but looking a little worse for wear in this opening.
Yeah, the main star of the show, the Adachi, really didn't get to play here. Has that 5 bars on deck, but unfortunately dropping the combo there. Going to be allowing the Ruby to run around here, but gets the DP. One-touch situation here. Nice DPs out of the situation as well. Trying to get something going. Hits the overhead check. Going to be making some use of this resonance here. It can be quite the pain in the ass to deal with the corner. Going to be going for as many gun blasts as possible. Unfortunately, dropping the combo at the end. Goes for the throw, but text on both sides. Yeah, Black for Life not out of it yet. Hits the throw, but the 4P in the back going to be saving their life.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but Blake for Life is just showing... I know Adachi's relatively new to them, but they did have a Ruby in the past now that I noticed earlier in chat. So yeah, they're showing quite a bit. They were staging quite a bit of a comeback and just showcasing the proficiency of them on that character, but just gets caught with the JA and Kizzsu. Like, it was looking a little dire for them, but Blake for Life just got some momentum back, but unfortunately just couldn't close it out.
Yeah, definitely showing the power of the not Blake. I was gonna. They're not playing Blake, even though they have freaking Blake in their name. Ruby. Just like how powerful she can be, and like such a just fundamentally good character that like even for a beginner she's not super hard to have to operate, so she can be quite the pain for a lot of other characters to have to deal with. I'm just gonna be setting up a lot of I thought there was actually gonna be a BZO setup there. Try to go in with the Adachi, but unfortunately getting hit by the 5A from the Orie, and like last time we saw them, Kizzsu was definitely very confident when it comes to the Orie offense here, so they're gonna be playing aggressively once more.
Unfortunately gets caught on, it looks like, yeah, might have gone, I think the 6P unfortunately just came out a little too early, but Blake for Life trying to mount something, trying to get some offense going on their end, but not looking too good. But yeah, the double-sided DP for Ruby, or on Ruby, saved Blake for Life. Blake for Life's life right there, and mounting a bit of their own offense this time around.
We're gonna be getting the cross up there, not high or not low enough to kind of convert. Puts in the sandwich scenario, not gonna be popping the CC though. Plus out with the super, there is no blocks there, but no punish as well. Hits the grab, that should be a kill.
No throw break, and it's all to solo Adachi's time to get opened up. I think this could be a kill, provided that Kizzsu has the routing. Unfortunately doesn't use the assist gauge or the cross combo to finish it off, but it's looking very dire for Blake for Life right now. Off to solo Adachi, it's definitely still doable, but it's not looking too great for them right now.
He's zooming in a nice JB check, gonna be hitting both characters. Hits the command grab, unfortunately not in resonance, so will not be able to convert off it. Sets up the BZO though. Tries to go for the throw, but a nice JB from BZO's side. Going to be potentially leading into a kill? No, not quite. One-touch situation, but hits the JC on the Oki, and that's 2-0 for Kizzsu right now.
Yeah, I do like what Blake for Life is doing, and you know they have been historically playing Ruby, and it just looks like they're experimenting with playing Adachi in the pocket. You know, this team is piloted by a very strong player by the name of Sykes. But unfortunately, looks like they're going back to their more comfortable team, the team that I remember them for now, with the Blake Yang. And it does say in their title card they are a student of a very strong, one of the a very strong Ruby Yang player by the name of Deku. So I think we might see some signs of their teacher come out here and getting a nice happy birthday at the start. They're looking a lot more comfortable now.
Yeah, just the offense game was so much better there. And Force Protect into the corner, DP's out of the situation, but this is like just in a couple seconds. Like Orie is already kind of on the back foot, looking really low, but a nice punish on that JC check. Gonna be bursting out of the situation. Orie is still in that red touch zone. Nice block in the 5C, but does not tech the grab afterwards. He's still living.
Not looking too good, but just gets caught with the 4P there, and Kizzsu mounting a bit of their own offense again. I imagine they're going to go for DHC just to safely get Orie out of there, so Izayoi can play a little bit of the front game for now. But Wake for Life, we're seeing just the stark difference on how they just structure their offense and how they operate this team. Looking super good right now. That trade put her into semblance, but I don't think they're going to be able to use a lot of it. Lake's still alive though.
And a nice air unblockable DP setup, but not respecting the Oki here, just mashing the 5A. Not able to get the confirm into the super in order to get the kill, but the aggression is still on the table. DP straight in their face, and it does not stop here.
They're looking so much more comfortable, and oh no, just unfortunately 2B just knocked them out of the combo, and Wake for Life stabilizing and taking a game for themselves. Yeah, and after Izayoi DP, there's actually just the Oki that they get off of it, provide that Sonic assist, as far as I know, is not real. I know it's, the same ender as doing like 214 BB or something like that, but it doesn't give you a true Oki situation. So I think that was good recognition on Blake to realize, hey, that was a DP strikefall ender, so I'm just going to press here.
Yeah, definitely good recognition there, and just like, it can't be understated, just like, despite Adachi Ruby definitely being the better comp here, this is very much proving, especially in these beginner brackets, just like kind of playing what you're comfortable with can mean so much. And like, yeah, like just the amount of confidence I'm seeing with Blake for Life here is like, it has definitely been the right call.
Kizzsu looking good, getting a nice air dash JC, but unfortunately not working out. Almost R's through the entirety of that 6P, but unfortunately no punish on the burst. And Kizzsu is... I feel like they're playing a little more restrictive than the past couple of games because, Wake for Life is just showcasing that they're willing to just knuckle up with them, and I feel like they're playing. It just feels like they're playing a little more scared than what we've seen from them.
Yeah, but they feel pretty confident on the offense game. Going to be actually swapping into the Yang here and goes armor straight through the Orie button. Going to be putting them into this corner position, but leaving a burst out. No fear though. Unfortunately, the shoulder tackle not quite reaching the Izayoi. Going to be giving her a nice chunk of damage, but will be popping the semblance. And that is a safe jump, but does actually end up frame trapping there with the DHC. Yang will be living.
Oh, catches the teleport. Yeah. Ruby's air blends are really good because they hit on both sides of her. So unfortunately for Izayoi, it just caught the 214 teleport, the 214C teleport, and it just wasn't working out. But life totals, I feel, well, definitely in Blake for Life's favor now. All up to solo Orie.
Another DP being left up. Solo Orie, not a bad solo character by any means, but can definitely struggle in some games and wakes up with the super. Gonna be a double hit there. Gonna go for some double whiff grabs. I don't know if that was BM or whatever, but they are bringing it back here with this Yang Ruby composition, tying up the set.
I know exactly what that was. That was... that really does showcase, if anyone had me doubt that Wake for Life is E2 Deku's student. Because E2 Deku does the same exact thing.
Damn. I'd say that's crazy, but E2 Deku, like, one of the nicest players like I've ever gotten to talk to. He plays rude as hell though. Like, anyways. Talk about E2 Deku later, as Blake for Life unfortunately getting hit here. Gonna be going for some standard Orie Oki, sets up a potential sandwich scenario, trying to go for some cross-up, but not close enough to convert here. Oh, that was a really good recognition there with a DP, was able to actually beat the armor.
I really like that recognition for Kizzsu because they've been caught up by a couple of some moments of armor moves, and for that time was able to call it out. And Blake's Yang. I don't that just sounds super weird to say, but yeah, just not looking too. Or their Yang's not looking too good right now. Kizzsu is definitely making some more adjustments and just realizing, hey, it's last game, gotta lock in, gotta make something happen right now.
Yeah,
and a good bait too.
Yeah, that's going to be sealing the Yang's fate, moving left into the sandwich scenario. Very good recognition with the block, but you have so much ground to cover, and it's just the empty jump low there. There was such good adaptations for Blake for life, but towards the end there, Kizzsu found their footing again. Make sure that the reverse 3-0 sweep doesn't happen, and we'll be moving on to the next side of the bracket.
Yeah. No, that was some really nice stuff by Kizzsu because, especially in that final sequence that landed them the game, Kizzsu has just been going for the standard Oki setup where you just do the I believe it's the 6-3-9-5 A plus B into JA with Izayoi. But most of the A, that's they gotta block the high that time, but they just did the air dash into landing into a low. So just definitely caught Blake for Life off guard right there. But Blake for Life doing super well, just a little rough around the edges with their Ruby Adachi, but this, as you mentioned before, just picking what's comfortable for you is going to be a very strong point of contention in these tournaments, regardless of skill level, really. And they almost was able to take it back, but yeah, just Kizzsu was just on point that time.
Yeah, most definitely a very exciting match to see. Very good adaptations on both sides. So really showing that kind of like beginner's rookie spirit, seeing a lot of things that he would even seeing a lot of things potentially block that even like veterans such as like you or I kind of would get hit by, to be honest. So very good stuff to them. Going to be moving on to the next side of the bracket here. Going to be PatNeko versus Sonic here. PatNeko is somebody that I have seen play quite a bit in WNF. However, despite that, definitely still qualifying for these beginner brackets, locking in with probably one of the most unique comps that I've ever seen, the Noel Makoto, going against the standard tried and true Yang Ruby.
Yeah, this will be interesting because I know in terms of what we know in the metagame, it's just Noel and Makoto are definitely not favored and definitely have a lot of flaws to cover. But I think PatNeko, from what I've seen, they just have the dedication. They, as far as I know, they really like this team. So I'm a firm believer in play what you like, play like whether it's play style or character aesthetics, whatever it may be, because I feel like that just gives you that extra bit of motivation to do well with your characters more so than just looking at it and saying, yeah, I want to pick some of the best characters.
Most definitely. However, been a very neutral heavy game so far. Unfortunately, the Noel will be getting punished off of those drive hits. Yang just trying to go in, not afraid of the match at all. Going to be punishing the burst as well, putting the Makoto into the corner here.
Yeah, this is where Eager Comedy had, or SonicSSB had a lot of people in the corner and just is able to keep up that oppressive offense so far and just continue to loop this offense. But yeah, PatNeko with a DP to get out of the situation. But might be again into more armored moves, unfortunately not working out. First gets made, but unfortunately does not get called out, but a blue beam will be sealing Noel's fate.
Leaving in with quite the low health total, but goes in swinging, baits the burst to able to get the hit at a good time too, because I think if the combo went on longer, the Yang might have popped semblance here, but it doesn't change the fact that this is most certainly a one-touch situation for PatNeko, and going to be using that Resonance Pop opportunity to just go in. Yeah, one of the things you have to be careful about, Resonance, even if you're kind of in neutral, isn't necessarily the freest thing in the world. So good recognition on SSBSonic, despite kind of the range there. They saw the Resonance Pop and they knew that they could go in, so that was some very good recognition.
Yeah, really nice work. What a lot of people do, especially when you get higher up in, or what you see a lot of people do in tournaments is they usually find some way to cover their resonance. Like if the character has a projectile, or if they just have something, or they land a combo and just go, instead of going for like a catch on their Oki or whatever, they usually pop resonance just to make it as safe as possible, or even put them in an advantageous situation after a resonance pop. So it's like I definitely think that in regardless of the game, you should just try and find a way to pop it. But there's also just a contingency of you gotta make sure you can make it safe, because you can get mixed up like what happened to PatNeko.
Most definitely, and SSBSonic looking a little uncomfortable here at the start of this game. Or going to pop in the Yang semblance, but that could be a good thing. Immediately goes to the super. That might be a dead Noel. There was a lot of momentum on PatNeko's side, but unfortunately, 1 or 2 conversions was all it took for them to be in this really bad spot.
Not looking too good right here. Also, solo Makoto level 2 resonance, so not the most ideal situation to be in. But PatNeko showing some grit with his character and trying to make something happen here. But just runs into the 5P, but drops out of it. Still looking good. Just trying to find a good opening, because a Yang with semblance is a pretty scary thing regardless of skill level.
Yeah, and it is important to note that check there is a mid. However, it is plus on blocks. Unfortunately, I think PatNeko tried to mash on that. And yeah, gonna be going into the Yang super. I think with Semblances has a chance to kill, but not quite.
Popping resonance because it's last chance to do so, but unfortunately gets called out on their DP, and SonicSSB up 2 games. Looking really good right now.
Most certainly. No one that they have fought so far has really had an answer to the Yang offensive presence, though. We saw some good hits there from PatNeko in a neutral. It's just like, I think the game kind of like swung at them in a flash, because I don't think they were cognizant of like kind of how low the Noel was, so it didn't have the opportunity to really safely get out. And to be fair, it's really hard when you're having this constant of pressure put on you. So just trying to get the beast off is very important. Sometimes you just gotta swing back at it.
Yeah. Yeah, PatNeko looking good in these opening moments. SonicSSB was able to burst in the Ruby for free and gets a nice grab. And one of the things I've noticed with PatNeko, especially with Noel now on screen, they let the entirety of the drive through rock. And historically in this matchup so far, SonicSSB has been ready for it. And I feel like there's going to be some times where maybe just to throw off the tempo of SonicSSB a little bit, maybe just hit the brakes on the B drive just so that they're a little less prepared on what to do. Like, that was a good opportunity.
Talking about good uses of drive, that definitely was Noel. However, once again in that really uncomfortable health territory, going to be maintaining her position up front, which can definitely be a risk, as we're seeing right here. Going to be killing off the Noel, did not want to swap in, and they're definitely going to be paying for it. This solo Makoto has kind of been their lifeline this entire time, but we'll see if they're able to make the comeback this time.
Again, with level 2 resistance, not the most ideal situation, but definitely still doable. But it's definitely bound to climb, especially with how SonicSSB has been playing. This might actually be a kill by that they use the meter to do so on cross stage. And yeah, this looks like perfect.
Optimizing all of that. This is gonna be deceptively close for Yang, but then regardless, going to be killed off the Makoto, getting a 3-0 victory against PatNeko, and going to be securing their spot in winners finals.
Yeah, a little bit of unfortunate tidings, but yeah, SonicSSB will be moving on to PatNeko. Will be sent down losers. They're not out of it just yet, but still has a chance. And yeah, they were looking pretty solid so far, but I think one of the things that just really sealed their fate in that set was just PatNeko lost one of their characters early on in all the games in that set. So I think with more time with this game, you kind of realize, especially with some of the teams that you're playing against, it's just, oh, my character could be in contention for dying right here. Maybe it's a good time to get them out. So it's just, with these beginner brackets, just having some more game sense will never hurt you. And I think, I have seen that. I have seen what PatNeko can do on a good day. And, they didn't make it to, winter semis for nothing. So they are doing pretty solid. It's just, they have a bit of a Shark Tank to go through, and it's looking like it's shaping up to figuring out the other end of our top 8, I believe. So we'll be finding that out soon.
Definitely. And next up, we'll be having Kizzsu versus SethMitchy. SethMitchy is a player that we have been familiar with on the Trading Mode Network side of things. I believe a recent graduate, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
Yeah. So definitely one of the more tenured beginner players, but still qualifying for this bracket nonetheless. Going to be fighting against Kizzsu, who has been a pretty on the point, aggressive Orie Izayoi player. So we'll see how to adapt. As E30 kind of mentioned earlier, Heart is kind of one of those menace characters that can be difficult for newer players to have to deal with. Orie does have some pretty solid tools overall to deal with her, but the offensive momentum can definitely swing into Heart's favor, and that back homing can be such a pain to have to deal with. So we'll see how the adaptation goes here.
Kizzsu looking pretty comfortable in navigating so far. Goes for the TK, but unfortunately gets opened up right there, but this is slightly outrageous of the 5A, unfortunate. But SethMitchy getting a nice opening in these open moments, and here comes the blender for this team, and let's see if Kizzsu is ready. Unfortunately didn't get the Oki situation right there, but Orie is in risk of dying here.
Trying to keep up the pressure, gets the grab too. Imagine they might want to get out this Orie soon. And still maintaining that momentum here. Burst in the Yumi, however, and the Orie is still going to be in that red health zone. Got to be very careful.
Yeah, just playing a bit of a range game, maybe just trying to call out maybe a button or something. But Kizzsu is looking pretty comfortable on leading this Orie in so far. Could be a little risky, and unfortunately right there, Orie going down and fall off the solo Izayoi. Level 4 presence is available, we're getting caught by counter hit by B, not working out, but a drop thankfully for Kizzsu. But this is time for Kitsu's Orie to get, Izayoi to get things started.
Probably gonna go for the standard safe jump. Oki gets hit, does not bait the burst. That Heart's gonna be bleeding in the back. Gotta be careful about those assist calls. However, I think, considering the team that Mitchy is playing, definitely a potential for one-touch situation. They're gonna be popping the resonance, get some of that life back, making sure that Izayoi can survive potentially one other hit. A nice cross-up block there. Still not going to be getting a huge amount of mileage out of this resonance, but still going to be solid enough to maintain this momentum here.
SethMitchy just trying to entertain the idea of going in, but just gets opened up right there with the low. And Kizzsu could definitely use this opportunity to get things started, but just gets beat by the burst. Empty jump flight low, or empty flight low, and Kizzsu, like, a one-touch situation, but held on pretty well. But unfortunately, it looks like this will be Kern's here. Just homing cancel into the cross raid, and SethMitchy looking, it was pretty close, all things considered. Even though Orie went down pretty quickly in the opening moments of that game, Kizzu's Izayoi was showing a lot of signs of promise.
Yeah, definitely. Izayoi, I think, also kind of falls into one of those characters that can be kind of awkward to have to deal with. I was seeing a lot of kind of disrespect on some of Izayoi's kind of Oki options. That character can get a safe jump, I think, from pretty much any ender she could possibly want. So gotta be careful when it comes to the hits that she gets, because she can maintain momentum very well.
So showing some nice defense, trying to fight back a little bit. Trying to use a JA, but just walks right in front of them, and unfortunately just gets caught by the 5A. But good navigation around the snowbirds, and Kizzsu getting some offense on the board now.
Getting the Oki there, a nice foretech of the situation. Not going to be able to punish that 5A check there, but going to get some of the Oki of their own. A nice sandwich and error, but an excellent punish afterwards. Kizzsu looking on point with that.
Looking solid so far. And yeah, this is where Kizzsu feels pretty comfortable, just being able to run some of the Oki situations, but unfortunate drop in just gets caught with the JA. And SethMitchy getting some offense of their own. are looking very healthy right now, and good reaction to that 5C.
Yeah, or he might have honestly died if they got hit there. So gonna be once again moving to the corner here. Unfortunately, dropping a combo, bursting out just in time to save her life. Both the SethMitchy characters, however, very low. The momentum is in their favor though, but gets push luck out.
Yeah. Well, she gets grabbed here, and a nice side swap as well. But looks not going to be a kill just quite yet, but another Oki situation, goes for the high once again, just drawing from the well. Good evasion just to not deal with the snowbird on the landing, but still looking worse for Kizzsu's. Izayoi is looking a little worse for wear. Orie is healing up nicely in the back, but unfortunately, that's all she's getting. But level 4 resistance is a thing! Oh my god.
They did the Orie player. That's how I know they made the character.
Oh man. Look, I feel that because, like, one of the first teams when I started playing this game, I played Tager, so doing push block into Spark Bolt, and then eventually just carried over to when I played Orie with push block into 2-3-6C, but unfortunately not having enough meter. It's a very relatable feeling.
Yeah, trust me. It doesn't matter how good you are at Orie. Every single one does it. I've seen people like Hashimo do it. I've seen people like Lotat and Tomoe do it. Like all. Don't feel bad for accidentally spending like EX bar when you don't have any meter, because like I'm pretty sure everyone does.
Can't escape from crossing fate.
But regardless, going to be moving on to our game 3 here. Going to be getting a pretty like awkward kind of round start. Nonetheless, going to be hitting that 4P, but not baiting the burst.
It's also just a quick sign. It's just a rite of passage. I mean, it just really showcases that you are one of us fellow Orie players.
Definitely. Nice navigation so far around the Yumi shenanigans, however, gets Frost up on their own Frost up attempt to be bursting out of the situation. Does not want the Orie to take all that damage, and a nice CRM too. This is looking very good for SethMitchy. We'll be getting this Yumi corner position.
Getting opened up with the JC, unfortunately. This could be curtains for the Izayoi. Oh no, did it catch out the super, but the first whiff? But Izayoi is alive. I think that's just net positive for Kizzsu, able to take things back and just clip with the JA, slowly trying to mount a counter-offensive.
Yeah, putting Heart into a potential one-punch situation here, but a DP out is going to be allowing a safe swap over into the Yumi, but the aggression is still in play, does not hit, or does not bait out the air DP. Going to be spending all the meter on those EX Snowbirds, and putting Izayoi into a potential one-touch situation here. Have to be careful, and there she goes. Solo Orie, level 4 Residence has a lot of life available, but this is still going to be rough.
Definitely still doing for Kizzsu, but unfortunately gets opened up, and I think that might be curtains. Oh no, not quite yet. Just went straight into aerial raid. Still has a chance to make things happen, and yeah, this could be the start of something nice for Kizzsu to stay alive in this. Oh no!
Oh my god!
I understand.
I think that might have been a car cancel, but a nice block in the overhead. Kizzsu still has a chance at life here, but gets it by the UV5P, and unfortunately, despite I gotta say, perfect definition of 3-0, but close though. That was definitely a pretty intense set overall, very close despite kind of the deficit of characters. Kizzsu not down or out even if they lost a character, showcasing that they're pretty confident solo, all things considered, especially against such a oppressive team like Heart Yumi. Incredibly impressive stuff overall, but unfortunately we'll be moving on to the loser side of bracket 3-0.
Yeah. No, it was really nice because one of the things that I could see, like, the live I could see the adjustments being made in real time, because there's some moments where, you know, they got opened up by JC a couple times, but we saw, even though in that last sequence they did eventually get opened up, they were starting to prepare themselves for Yumi JC when it came for some of those cross combo situations. So, you know, even, you know, this is a beginner intermediate bracket, but, you know, there are some players, even some of the ones that we've witnessed, kind of lose their footing or just struggle to make adjustments in the 3 games that we had, but we did see it, like, very noticeably within those 3 games that we saw from them. So it's Um, it was some very nice work from them.
Yeah, most impressive stuff. Really liking how the Orie is being played there, but we're gonna be moving on to the next side of the bracket, moving to Blake for Life versus Greekdude. Got a very Ruby centric match coming up here.
Yeah, this will be interesting because I think what attracted a lot of people to this game was the Ruby series in general. So I'm
Well, Ruby, you having fun
it's nice to see that there's some people that are very interested in a fighting game with some of their beloved characters. So it's not every day that you see a full Ruby team on both sides fighting it out. So it's going to be pretty interesting. We have seen Blake for Life, but this is the first time us seeing, I believe, let me just make sure I'm getting their names right, Greekdude. And they have a pretty interesting comp here.
Yeah, that's a freaking ice cream sandwich.
Yeah.
Trying to maintain this pressure on the Weiss and a nice 5B check over on the Neo here. That should be a kill if they're able to cash out, but nah, you know what? Doesn't need the meter going for the reset, but unfortunately not going to get the kill.
Unfortunately not working out, but just going for a nice command grab super. Just trying to put the pressure on, getting Weiss in as safely as possible. Good amount of damage on the board too, but looking a little concerning for Greekdude right here, and it looks like the Weiss will be going down.
Definitely Neo not looking too healthy either, and getting that 2-8 check. Like for like, where did he take in the first game?
And one of the things that we're really seeing in some of these moments is just we're seeing how comfortable that Blake for Life is when they're running their offense compared to Greekdude, who there's a lot of moments where it's just, especially for newer players, it's like, how do I deal with this? How do I get out of this situation? Unfortunately, couldn't find an answer, or they just got checked by something, like games 5B. So it's going to be, from what it seems like, an uphill climb for them. But I do feel like Neo and Weiss do have some decent tools to especially check the Yang with some of their more quick and long-reaching ones.
Well, Ruby, you
Most
can't escape from crossing
definitely, but
fate.
we'll see how they adapt here in this game. You know what, like, consistency among Yang players, they always want to be in your face, and it has been super difficult for anyone to have to deal with. And I'm going for a little bit of a combo extension, but as a result, not keeping it all burst safe. Try to match what presumably is the 5B on Yoki, and a nice throw, going to be going straight through the Yang armor. Puts up a glyph here. What's it going to be? It's going to be the 5C. Try to mash afterwards, though. Blake for Life returning back in speed.
Burning Fire getting some of the offense back. Life totals are even, but we've seen this movie before. Unfortunately, Greekdude getting opened up they're getting armor through their 5A. And unfortunately, Neo isn't looking too good for them right now. Gets opened up and decides to let the Neo die. Didn't want to burst. And it's all to solo Weiss this time around.
Solo Weiss, one of the more awkward characters to play solo once you actually got the pressure going. That's some fantastic neutral game. However, just getting overwhelmed here. Has the 5 bars on deck. I'm pretty sure this should be a kill.
Yeah, just cashed out, made sure the kill is secured, and Blake for Life up 2-0.
Yeah, and we saw a bit more firing back there with the kind of Weiss Neo composition. However, just the strength of the armor and what it has to offer has just been yeah, there unfortunately hasn't been a lot of low checks available to Greekdude, or at least they not like throwing them out as much, but perhaps like after the third game, maybe they can make those adaptations here. Neo does have some surprisingly gross lows. She has a 6-frame, pretty long 2A, so there are definitely options available to throw out. But we'll have to see.
Yeah. I do like what Greekdude was doing in some of their moments where they did get some pressure started, extending some of their pressure with the with an assist in the corner and whatnot. So they do have some they do have some ideas of what they want to do with this team, but unfortunately, it's just Blake for life. Whenever they're able to get an opening, it is very hard to let them go. But a good 5-8 just to call it the teleport in. Greekdude is getting some pressure going now, but just gets clipped low. Nice defense on that JC though.
Going in for the swap, but however, just getting hit on the way down, and there it is, the 5B of the gods going to be leading into this happy birthday situation, and Neo is going down to Greekdude once again in that uncomfortable situation, not going to be converting into a kill just yet. Nice block with the overhead, going to be punishing with the DP, wakes up with the super, and that should be it.
Wait for life taking Theo, unfortunately. Greekdude will be bowing out here, but I really like what they were doing for a good amount of that set. You know, they were using, you know, stuff like calling an assist in the middle of their pressure to extend it, and then also just at the very end there, what Blake for Life did is that they did JB and the JC, they got opened up by it, but then the second time that they tried to do a replay on them, Greekdude was ready for it and blocked the double overhead. So, you know, I really like seeing the awareness and the adjustments being made in real time again. But unfortunately, they will be bowing out here. But they're looking pretty solid. But fortunately, with the way this bracket goes, there's always got to be people that will bow out earlier than usual. And Blake for Life will be moving on to fight PatNeko in losers quarters.
Yes, and I think we'll be moving on to Kizzsu versus Akihisa Sendo. Definitely been a bit of a blast of the bracket, or not. We're already an hour in, and definitely on the losers quarter side already is honestly like not entirely unexpected, but definitely a quick bracket overall. Hope everyone in the audience has been enjoying some of what the beginners do have to show. I have been very impressed in seeing the adaptations that are slowly being made in even this kind of lower skill end bracket. Nonetheless, has really showcased that the rookie spirit really is in a lot of BBTag players.
Yeah. No, what I really like seeing is that I can kind of feel like the energy or like the hardest of these players and what they want to do. So it's really nice that we're still seeing new players want to pick up this game, and I hope that this. Unfortunately, there's a lot of DQs, but I hope for the people that were able to show up that there's just they have more of a reason to play after walking away from this tournament, because it's really nice seeing up and coming players. You know, that one random player that you saw in a bracket one time could be, you know, the next person to win, you know, a major in a year or two or something. You know, this game, I feel like with the characters, they are very simplistic, but there is a lot of nuance, and I think the overall tag system is very nuanced and complicated, but they're, you know, if you enjoy the game enough, there's a will, there's a way, is the short way I can put it.
Yeah, definitely. I think we were all there at some point, you know, in the trenches of any old bracket, trying to climb out, trying to learn the game as much as possible, and can't be understated just how nice it is to have access to these beginner brackets. And I'm hoping the general skill level being not as intimidating here has really inspired people to pick up the game and learn the game more with whatever team comps they decide to run. Definitely a test. There is something special about just kind of learning the game and playing what you want, instead of trying to kind of focus on getting results and trying to beat like, oh, the top big dogs there. Sometimes, you know, just like having a good set with players around your skill level can be inspiring enough to really let you get off your feet and kind of soar into the next stage of your BBTag career. And hopefully we get to see some of the flight here when it comes to Kizzsu versus Akihisa Sendo.
Yeah. So this is a losers bracket match again, so loser will be staying home.
Is the stream up for you guys still?
It's back.
Okay, it's back. Okay, there we go.
Kizzsu, and from what it feels like a reversal of fortune, able to get their offense started, and Akihisa Sendo looking a little worse for wear and gets caught in the OP situation, all up to Solo Yang. But as we see what this character has been cooking with for a good chunk of this night, they are far from out of it.
try to get something going here with the Yang. Nice tech on the throw, however, gets clipped by the Orie 5P, but not able to stabilize that confirm here. Would coming out, but swinging, no fear, trying to flight dash in. This Yang going absolutely crazy, but just gonna bonker on the head in order to seal the deal, hopefully.
Yeah. Nice work. Kizzsu just keeping it simple there. And yeah, I feel like with the last couple of times they've been in a situation with that similar combo, they try to extend it as much as possible. But this time they just went immediately in the super just to guarantee the kill, and game 1 going to Kizzsu.
Fortunate bit of a stream hiccup. We didn't get I don't know how much got cut off, but regardless, I think definitely at the start of the game it was just some strong Orie Izayoi fundamentals at play. But the momentum tide, the tide of momentum, I should probably say, was definitely being swung into Akihisa Sendo's favor just with the Yang, and can't be understated with just how much Yang has been played tonight, and especially like in these beginner brackets, that thing can be the hugest difference maker when it comes to success in these sets.
Yeah. Looking pretty good. It's a new game, and hopefully Akihisa Sendo can make some adjustments to try and make something happen. But just gets called out on the 5AA push block, and Kizzsu's been a really big fan of doing that tonight. Just using a jump cancelable normal on block into air dash over JC, and it's been getting various amounts of mileage on for them. So Akihisa Sendo needs to find an answer to that, because I feel like they're just going to continue letting it rock, provided that there's not an answer.
This is Makoto looking a little low, almost could have potentially died here, but getting swung on by the Izayoi 4P. Gonna be trading here, trades right back into Orie's favor though. Yang once again, not in that semblance, so that threat level is being mitigated, but will probably reach it here after this combo. Ew,
oh no!
It's
caught by 6 people, but unfortunately not working out. But plush frames, yeah, just nice patience by Kizzsu, realizing that maybe, maybe not the best time to press. But Orie looking a little worse for wear. Oh no!
Yeah, just gonna get the 2-360 check, respecting it, knows that it is plus unlocked, hits the DP, but no punish. The Orie is looking quite low, but the neutral 5P going to be sealing the deal. I can't believe I gotta remake the move tier list.
What I've been noticing in this bracket, and it's unfortunately been biting a lot of people recently, but it's just the sheer like bravery on a lot of these players, just having their character be maybe in the red zone, or one touch can, or one combo can kill them. They just let their character rock, and it's like, nah, I'm going to gap with this character that's just straight up bleeding.
Yeah, that's definitely unconventional, and I think it was touched upon earlier. Maintaining the 2v2 or 2v1 is integral to your success in this game, and playing risky like that is super volatile. But hey, if you're confident, why the heck not?
It all boils down to, if it works for you, it works for you. But there, as we've seen the data in a couple of these games, it's just there are going to be some times where it just doesn't work out for you.
I'm just taking all this Orie aggression here, baiting the burst, putting Makoto into this corner position too. Be trying to get this forward tech, gonna be swapping into the Yang just to pump the sentence. Very smart on Akihisa Sendo's part, but however gets hit by the Izayoi 60, which has kind of not been touched upon in the set, but has been giving Kizzsu so much momentum here into this game. Gonna be putting this Makoto into that one touch though, gets hit by the double overhead. Yang with semblance is coming in, but how much can you gap?
Looking good so far and getting a nice 5B opening, but unfortunately the burst will be coming out. Red is still available for them, but the armored 5B has been working out in dividends regardless of who's playing tonight. And oh no, just an excellently timed push block into the 5B to seal their fate, and Kizzsu up 2-0.
Through the use of
I think
force,
isn't that 3-0?
which means the
Yeah, that was 3-0.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, my apologies.
We counted the first game that
Yeah,
died.
I- I slipped. But yeah, Kizzsu will be moving on. Akihisa Sendo will unfortunately be bowing out here. And honestly, I think one of the main things that unfortunately sealed Akihisa Sendo's fate is just that I think Kizzsu just had a more like a more solid handle on their characters as a team rather than characters independently. And and this is not to say that Yang Makoto won't work, because I do believe I've seen a couple players try and make that work. So there is potential for them. So hopefully we'll see them, in a future bracket, and hope to see them in a future bracket soon, because it's one of the more interesting scenes that we've seen tonight, and it's looking nice for them.
Most definitely. But the Yang train does not stop. Has easily been probably the most popular character in this bracket, going to be fighting against another Makoto player. Yeah, that's actually I didn't necessarily realize that. Yeah, we have 2 Makotos in top 8. Normally, that is something we don't ever get to see. But Makoto is a on the lower end, I think, of the tier list. I don't think that's a hot take to have to say, but has a character with a lot of sneaky tricks. Their offensive game is really not to be underestimated. I think she is a deceptively strong character when it comes to her offensive presence. It's just the neutral. So very cool to see kind of what the Makoto players have in store for us tonight.
Yeah, and yeah, we've seen Blake for Life been on quite a bit of a tear tonight, and we'll see if PatNeko may be the stop tonight. I feel like in this bracket alone, PatNeko has gotten a decent amount of game experience, so we'll see if they can apply some of this stuff in this next match.
Well, Makoto versus Yang Ruby. Gonna be starting off with some drive shenanigans here. Good utilization of the beautiful. Gonna be swinging right through the Yang.
Looking good. Trying to get the pressure up, gets the blow, maybe trying to press a button there, but unfortunately, Yang's armor does lose to lows, so if PatNeko may be just ready for that and sprinkling some lows into the pressure. But just really nice evasion from Ruby being pretty slippery, and just able to just crush a lot of the buttons that Blake for Life trying to put out.
Yeah, just jump through the electric ball here, but does snipe the Yang. Makoto supers do a lot of damage, so like I'm a little surprised about no burst out of the situation. Not going to be getting access to that potential threatening sentence thing, but it's okay. Solar Ruby coming in and swinging.
Yeah, definitely still doable for Solar Ruby, but she is a pretty average character in terms of the damage output, so there's going to be a lot of openings that they need to get. And after this point, I don't think this will kill, but it's definitely going to be a one-shot situation from here on out for Blake.
Right, it's the low there, and yeah, that's going to be a pretty dominant game here for PatNeko.
I think one of the things that PatNeko has been really good at is that, regardless of the character on screen, they've been pretty slippery in terms of being able to catch them. So Blake for Life seems like they're a little caught off guard by that, so hopefully they're able to make some adjustments. I definitely think, at least with Ruby, has some of the buttons to catch some of the more slippery antics of PatNeko's team, so I think Ruby might be the ace that they need for this.
Get ready. Alright, yeah, the Noel, despite the many, I would say many faults of the character, is a pretty weird, has a pretty weird kit overall that can be very difficult for some beginners to have to. We'll see how Blake for Life.
Yeah. Getting a nice opening right so far. Unfortunately, Buzzsaw just went for the other side. A little bit of a scramble situation. Everybody's out to party. Oh my god.
Going in for that padded easy buzzsaw that we haven't seen in a while.
Getting a nice JB from the heavens. Getting a good amount of damage and bringing Ruby to the corner. Trying to get the pressure started. Getting clipped low this time. Yeah. Yeah, the drive does have a good plethora of moves that can crush and moves that go high. So, or Noel has a lot of options within the drive, so it's Blake for Life is, it just feels like they're a bit unprepared for it and getting caught off guard by a lot of the antics of what Noel can do. Oh my god, they're just partying!
I mean, like, Noel's got the funny drive moves. Definitely something you have to watch out for. One of the few characters that does have options on whip. So, let's just drop it. No, did not drop the combo. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
This is some chaos.
Yeah, this is insane right now. Just going in, JC, not going to get a lot of mileage off it, but just have just to reset to the neutral situation a little bit. Avoids the firecracker somehow. Slowly just trying to make their way in. PatNeko just being slippery on the way in. And Blake for Life just trying to catch with something, but unfortunately not able to get a full confirm on some of these straight hits.
Trying to potentially kill off the Noel here. That is a super bad position to have to be in, but gets their close tip there, and WTag has no chance for the burst available. And the biggest threat, I think, has been defeated here, but PatNeko still has to deal with this level 4 Residence Ruby, and Makoto just trying to swing around, but no dice so far. Until the 5B.
Gets put by the anti-air, and this should be Curtains and PatNeko taking it, or getting their second game on the board. Yeah, just I think especially with the Noel, just Blake for Life isn't super prepared for them. Just what the best way I can describe it is I remember seeing this video of somebody having this useless gadget, and it just looked like it was a flailing appendage attached to a box. And what this guy did is that he attached a knife to the end of it. And he accidentally turned the little useless device on. So it's just basically a box with like a flailing knife around it. So he was just kind of wondering like, how do I get around this? And it just feels like Blake for Life is just seeing whenever Noel is doing her drive blends, it's just that flailing knife box just on the ground. It's just I don't want to deal with that. I want to get away from it.
I completely understand, and like generally, like, when Noel is doing something like that, your best course of action is just, like, don't engage with her because you're kind of left vulnerable to a lot of her invulnerability options. She is, committal to it, so if she does it for too long, she will wear herself out and it can lead to a bunch, but, like, if you're covering with assist, it can actually be, pretty nice to deal with. And that was an excellent utilization of the Noel grab to go to the Kizzsu.
Nice work, but unfortunate for PatNeko, Blake for Life getting opening. And yeah, I think this is a smart play here because Blake for Life has been a little worse for wear in terms of trying to match the offense of PatNeko. So I think for what it looks like they just want to go more of that space control route and just keep Noel and Makoto at bay as much as possible. But unfortunately, getting a nice 10k opening here, and Adachi looking pretty worse for wear now.
Will be swinging them out, however, immediately DPs out of the situation, is actually going to be a quick and simple punish. Blake for Life once again left with the solo Ruby, swinging it around here, but immediately gets anti-air checked.
Definitely still doable for Blake for Life, but unfortunately, only level 2 residents unfortunately DP whiffs, and I think they are going to have one more chance after this combo.
Yeah, can't go the fourth bar for that DHC, but might be going for the cross combo just to ensure the one-touch situation, guys. Leave them with hardly a chance to get out. Probably going to force the residents pop as well. Yeah, here it is. This is your time to get going. What you going to do?
Just keeping the pressure up. Nice 2B to just cause the Noel assist, and this could be the start of something beautiful for Blake for Life. Looking pretty good with this combo. Going to push Makoto close to the corner. Which is not a great opening situation, but a good grab. And yeah, Blake for Life is starting to mount this comeback pretty nicely.
Indeed, just trying to chase down the Noel. Not little afraid of that drive that has been giving them so much trouble, but just trying to run around, avoid the Noel, and just like, yeah, weave in, weave out, just try to bait something out, but gets it for the 6B, but no full conversion.
Yeah, I feel like PatNeko is also just playing a little afraid as well, just because, you know, both of the characters are in one-touch situation, and that's one of the openings that they needed. Blake for Life gets the 5-8 and brings it back with a solo Ruby. Excellent work. Staying alive in this bracket.
very impressive overall. Really like how they were playing with that solo Ruby. Like I was saying, weave in, weave out, Noel is not a character that has good defensive options, nor does she have like good chase down options. So we're just playing to their strengths, utilizing Ruby's flexible mobility in order to kind of make PatNeko's life of pain, because it's always it can always be a pain to have to switch between playing defensively and playing offensively against Ruby, because she can get it in on you so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I was mentioning that, like, you know, PatNeko does have a pretty slippery team, but Ruby can be just as or even more slippery with some of those teleports. And it's pretty hard to catch some of her shenanigans just because of how much coverage her jumping points and her 5B can give her. So it's I think that's, from what we saw, that was effectively the winning formula for that match. So it's definitely doable for Blake for life. It's just, you know, they have to mount this. They have to win 2 more games just to stay alive here. So PatNeko looking good on this. What's potentially the last game for them.
Unfortunately, the Ruby is taking quite a hurting. Does not have enough time to, actually they do have enough time. I thought there was going to be a crossroad there, but it's okay. The Adachi coming in relatively healthy can take some of these hits, but PatNeko has not let up.
Looking good so far with, I believe, 2B, but not looking too good. Gets opened up by the low. Getting the assist extension. It's choose who you want to die. Unfortunately, you don't have to, actually, but still getting the pressure up. Nice defense by Blake for life. Baiting the burst as well and looking really good with this Ruby right now. Slowly just trying to bring the damage rates back in their favor, slowly, bit by bit.
Gonna be a nice solid 9.6k. Trying to go for a cross up there. Maintaining the aggression, does not convert off that counter hit. Nice backdash there, but will be bringing the Adachi. No punish, however. Run up with the freaking cross lines to kill him. Makoto is suddenly looking a bit more in Blake for Lake's favor, but that Ruby is in that one-touch scenario, so it's just gonna take one shot here. Gonna be doing that combo with the AD or forcing out a resonance pop.
Slowly just trying to wall them out, but yeah, that Noel is slowly approaching. Oh no, not a good time to set up the BZL, and it's all up to solo Ruby. One-touch situation for her, but yeah, just PatNeko trying to swing for the fences. Good DP, but yeah, just slowly trying to make something happen. JB not working out. They're just trying to catch each other. They're just trying to dance around each other right now. Good confirm. Not going to kill despite yet.
Yeah, but that's going to be one stray hit, which could matter here in this matchup. And the stray hit's going to be that JC PatNeko keeping it cool in that 2v1 scenario and able to take the set 3-1 in their favor. Blake for life definitely was not out of it towards the end, but unfortunately could not quite bring out the Ruby Adachi game plan to victory. Still very good stuff for them.
Yeah, no, it was some very excellent work, especially the comeback that they mounted. So really nice from them. You know, I think if they want to continue down the route of going Ruby Adachi, they have Sykes to they can learn a lot from Sykes in terms of general rotations, because I think what Sykes is really confident in terms of piloting that team is just being able to safely set up BZO. Unfortunately, we saw some signs that they wanted to set it up, but unfortunately it was during inopportune times where they got opened up. So I think they just have the benefit of having a solid foundation to learn off of. And you know, they are doing the V2 Deku, so you know, if they do want to stick with the Ruby Yang, that's available to them as well. So it's very nice for them. But we will be moving on back into the winner side of the bracket, where we'll be having our winners finals between SethMitchy and SSBSonic.
Definitely been the 2 strongest players in the bracket duking it out to see who gets that winner's final spot, kind of just securing their position in tonight's bracket tournament. And I can definitely imagine, like, Ruby is going to be a pain for the Heart half to deal with, but that being said, you know, as we've been mentioning before, Heart is kind of on the top of the kind of beginner player bracket metagame. Despite Ruby being a character that deals with her well, you still have to have that mindset on how to deal with her in the first place, and if there's not a lot of experience at play, SethMitchy can definitely get away with a lot.
Yeah, we'll see how they interact in this matchup, because Yang, as you mentioned, Ruby is is going to be probably a big check for the heart. But and Yang unfortunately is going to struggle a little bit. But SethMitchy getting a nice opening in these opening moments, clip the Yang with a low and just continuing the offense.
So getting hit out by the 5A check there from the Yang, gonna be put into this corner position. SSBSonic has definitely been really on top of the offense here and just baiting out the burst as well. Does not want to have Heart take the brunt of the damage, to prefer the Yumi to take it instead. Nice walk in the overhead, but cannot quite punish it.
Yeah, we're all seeing a lot of mileage out of the Greekdude. Unfortunately, mistime active switching Yang will be a hurting unit for quite a bit. Could be a kill scenario here if they get an opening, but looking good so far. Getting a nice snipe on the 6P with the heart, and just maybe trying to find a good time to open it up, but just the wrong 214 AB working out in that feet first. I can't believe it.
Not gonna be a kill. I don't think Sonic was ready for it just yet. But their heart is coming in with such a little amount of life to deal with, and it's just enough to get the kill. Gonna be hitting the Yumi on the way down, and Sonic going to be taking the first game.
Yeah, and a series of unfortunate events, and you know there was a lot of like really nice momentum shifts between the two players, but unfortunately for Sonic, they were able to stabilize and work things out, and you know, SethMitchy still has a couple games to figure out what's going on, and you know, they can do well.
Yeah, just definitely seeing some inklings of the heart being really annoying for Sonic to have to deal with. It's just like when it comes to having to deal with the constant relentless direction, and seeing like any character is going to struggle. And I think another big aspect too is that 4T is going to be such a good checker of the heart's like kind of air option, but we'll be getting the side swap over into the corner here. This is kind of the party time. Yeah, going for the empty jump low. When SethMitchy was on their offense last time, it was definitely something to hold.
Yeah. Unfortunately, didn't maintain the vortex there, but just getting a nice opening. Dead Yang on the solo Ruby, and this was I feel like this was more the problem character between the two in the first moments of the set. So let's see if Sonic SSB can make this comeback with solo Ruby, but it's not looking too good for them right now.
Again, sets up the sandwich scenario here. Don't know if they missed a TK there or trying to go for a fuzzy, but try to get a confirm. Hits the ice too. Don't think Ruby is dead just yet, but the heart is coming in. Nice cross up too, but did not believe in the confirm. Just try to swing around, getting hit by the Ruby too. Put into the red touch zone, but not in a threat for a kill just yet.
Definitely a one-touch situation here right now. They could probably close it out with a 5C if they really wanted to, but try to just maintain the pressure. But a good awareness and a good DP by SethMitchy, but unfortunately getting caught by Ruby's JB, and just the momentum is slowly shifting in their favor. Good go break.
Yeah, but they just need 1-5A, 1 snowbird, whatever it takes to take them out, and the 5C is what's going to seal the deal. SethMitchy taking the first game.
Looking really good so far, and it's just 1-1, but we're just seeing the really nice back and forth between these two players, and it's shaping out to be one hell of a set so far.
Very much so, and like as expected, just Ruby able to cover a lot of hearts and angles. Sonic, feeling a bit more comfortable in terms of the heart matchup in terms of the neutral game, but not necessarily on the offensive side of things. And to be fair, even at the higher end of play, Heart has some really stupidly disgusting like Oki situations, so it can be hard for anyone to have to deal with, but definitely seeing some uncomfortability on the defensive side of things, especially right here.
Yeah, and SethMitchy so far has just been drawing from the well and going for those lows after the homing mix-up, so yeah. Thankfully, Eager Harmony looks like they heard me. They're definitely listening in. Goes high this time. SethMitchy's also listening in. So, yeah, just the vortex is just in full effect for SethMitchy.
Yeah, but DP's not getting the safe jump here. Nice tech on the throw, avoiding that situation. Good back homings here and there. Really being a pain for the hard have to deal with. Try to mash out of the situation, but not quite working out here. As SonicSSB will be putting the sandwich scenario. Does not keep it all burst safe though.
Not quite, but getting a grab, and this should be curtains for Sonic's Yang here. Unfortunately, dropped. Yeah, that throw, they definitely wanted super there and getting punished for it. This could be the time for... What was that? That was so weird.
That was a combo of all time, but unfortunately, getting the burst baited here, going to be going for the DH. He just wants all that damage available to that heart, who's been the pain, the problem here. Ooh, unfortunately, misses a 5C there, goes for the wrong 5B load, and that is an unfortunate burst. DP's coming out, they are swinging for the fences.
This is pretty good, unfortunately, just not working out. Like, instead of burst bait, but just gets hit by the EX Snowbird and SethMitchy up 2 games. Yeah, that was really unfortunate. I did see that Sonic wanted to bait a burst, but unfortunately, SethMitchy did not have cross gauge to do so. So, unfortunately, a little bit of a tense moment and just forgot where the opponent's cross gauge was. We'll be going to what could be the last game of the set.
Definitely. And those low checks that SethMitchy has been doing have been a really good adaptation just against the Yang matchup. Really afraid of kind of the armor moves. And I know like most of what Heart has to offer in terms of Oki is a safe jump, but you can never be too safe, I think, against Yang. So good implementation so far, and it kind of doubles as an empty jump low setup as well. So it's been really effective so far.
Yeah. They're looking good, and Sonic getting some nice openings so far. Didn't believe in the two-way confirm, but oh my god, what a brave DP.
Yeah, but a nice back homing here. One of the best Heart's tool, if not her strongest defensive option. Just trying to move around with punishes the Yang move there. I didn't quite see what it was, but actually might be starting to kill, but unfortunately with there, not gonna get a whip when it's gonna get out of the situation. Gonna be having bursts everywhere. No one wants their characters to die. And yeah, we're turning back to the neutral game.
Understandably so, but just gets clipped by a Ruby JB, I believe. And yeah, just trying to wake up for the 5A, but unfortunately not working out. Gets a good catch. Yeah, just I feel like Sonic is just trying to dance around the idea that a burst could come out. Not going to kill the Yumi just quite yet, but going to be pretty close. Heart gets rid of the life, but bringing back in the Yumi. This could be dangerous. Yeah, nice push block into the gun blast. All up to Soul Heart, definitely doable, but this could start them out, not the start of a comeback here.
Unfortunately missing the save jump there, but ready for the throw tech. Gonna be popping the CC right there. Not sure what they wanted, but that's gonna be a drop combo. DP's out of the situation. Yang on the brink of death here. Swapping back over to Ruby. Really wants to maintain her. Nice block on that cross-up. I definitely got hit by that, but chasing down the Ruby. Trying to chase down this Heart as well, but the Yang, how much life does she have in her? I'm not sure. Trades in the air. What is going on?
Oh my god, excellent defense with that cross under right there. Pressure's on the board. Nice unblockable setup, but unfortunately not going to kill this quite yet. Just one touch on the Heart, but it's also one touch on the Yang. Oh gosh, it's looking so close. Nice hitting the brakes because that 4P was coming. It just gets caught into a 4A. And we're going to game 5.
Definitely been one of the more intense sets of the night here. That was going down to the wire. Really like the relatively reserved defensive play that both players are trying to implement. I think SethMitchy was definitely making some strides there, and I honestly think the game was probably winnable for them if they were able to kill the Yang, but 18k health coming in clutch. Going into game 5, let's see how it does, and a nice back homing, catching Sonic off guard immediately.
All it takes is honestly one hit for Heart to just get all the momentum that they need to just, you know, close out a game like this, and this could be the start with. Sonic fighting back hard with a good burst, just trying to reset the neutral position, and yeah, they're just kind of feeling each other out from here now.
Trying to whip out the EX Skillbirds, wants to do the good neutral option, but the Ruby simply does not care. A nice check on that 5B, but not able to bait the burst out of the situation. Ruby has to deal with this card here. I have no idea how they're blocking it, but a counter hit. 5A call tries to bait the burst there with the 5B, but did not hold on for long enough. Swinging into this court position and baiting the throw. This could prove to be fatal.
I shall return the favor.
I know SethMitchy's heart has been the star of the show, and Yumi on the back foot quite a bit, so it's all to Sony Yumi this time, but not looking too good so far. But should make something happen here. Slowly just trying to feel each other out, but gets clipped, but thankfully dropped out.
Trying to maintain the aggressive, chasing the Ruby down, but gets the air DP for their troubles. This should be a kill. No, play with our food a little bit, did not go into the super, giving SethMitchy another chance at life with a command throw. Table for 2. Here we are, allowing SSBSonic to move on to the grand final set.
Yeah, really excellent set by these two, and oh man, that was. I'm at a bit of a loss for words just because it was such like a really nice back and forth, and we really just saw the active adjustments being made on both sides, and SonicSSB just closing it out and moving on to book their ticket into the winner's side at Grand Finals. But we will be moving on to figure out who SethMitchy's opponent will be between Kizzsu and PatNeko.
Yes, and Kizzsu, definitely I think, I want to say for me, the dark horse of this tournament. Never heard of this player before, but they've been showing up with the Orie Izayoi comp and being relatively proficient with it. All things considered, going out against PatNeko. Just in terms of matchup, I know like Noel can be, Orie can be quite the painful matchup for Noel because she has really good air pokes, which is one of Noel's fatal flaws. But you know, we'll have to see how much matchup experience Kizzsu does have against this Noel.
Yeah. It looks like they're showing like a bit of preparedness by just staying in the air, just letting the Noel come to them and say, "Oh my God, what a grab!"
I think they might know something or two about the Noel matchup. Hitting the TK2, I'm a little jealous. I can't even hit those TKs as consistently.
Very nice call out, getting the empty dash low, and just keeping the pressure with Kizzsu. Yeah, but they're looking pretty prepared. You know, when the Noel was on screen, it was just they were staying back and just allowing the Noel to come to them instead of just trying to press the offense and maybe getting caught by one of the moves that can crush. But Kizzsu getting a bit of their offense on their own and just slowly trying to weave their way into this.
Nice blocking in this photo pressure, keeping it all patient here. Unfortunately gets hit, but not ready to confirm off it. Nice utilization of the 4P, going to be getting an empty gun low. They're going to get their rush crushed by the Noel drive, putting Orie into the scoring position.
Back to a bit of a neutral situation. Life total still in Kizzsu's favor, but PatNeko slowly trying to fight their way. And yeah, just back to that game plan of just, hey, you're going to come to me. See, this is what happens when you try and go in on the Noel.
Yeah, ooh, try to go into maybe a CC scenario. I actually think that would have killed. Go in, playing it very patiently, not going to be getting hit by any of the drive things. Yeah, this is what we've seen from Kizzsu all night. That Izayoi is pretty high health in the back, but they're just so confident with the Orie play.
Just catch out a DP just to try and beat a burst somehow, but going into cross combo, just trying to catch something out. The Orie is hurting! Be careful! They're confident, they're confident. Okay, they brought them out pretty safely, so yeah, back to the more healthy characters, just getting hit by the teleport, and Kizzsu just trying to mount the offense again.
Yeah, I haven't even realized how long this match has been going. We are deep into Rampage time. 50 seconds left on the clock. A timeout for this position is very possible. PatNeko does not have the life total, so there's definitely gonna be something happening here, but then timeout might not be in play here. Is the solo Noel coming in, but a cross up JB, insane, popping the resonance, stopping that timer and getting some meter back with the grab. Just gonna be sealing the deal. No, not quite.
Yeah, PatNeko just trying to make the way of the drive speed. This could have been TA, but unfortunately didn't work out. Nice clip on the Orie assist, not letting the Lord come out. Oh my god!
The 5C of the god. Who cares if I got better overheads? Game going down to 40 seconds. Definitely felt like more than one game was played there, but Kizzsu are gonna be taking the first game.
You know, most of the time when we see people fight Noel, they usually go for something like, oh, if they're doing the drive and they're coming at me, I'm going to jump and press an air button. What Kizzsu's doing is just they're really just showing how confident they are in this matchup by just, oh, they're coming at me with a drive. I'm going to not only land but grab them out of it. So it's insane what they're doing so far.
Yeah, like overall, like I was commenting, like I don't know how much matchup experience they have with Noel. I think they have plenty. I think they have plenty.
They like compared to some of the other matches that we've seen, you know, previously some people are just kind of scared when the Noel drive is just coming out. But Kizzsu is just okay. I'm going to let it rock. They're showing through their gameplay that they're comfortable in fighting this game.
Unfortunately, Orie getting a hit here. In the start of the show, Kizzsu, with how they've been playing, the lower the Orie gets, the riskier they end up playing, but still remaining confident, just throwing out those posts, checking the Makoto.
Looking good, getting a nice amount of damage on the board. PatNeko able to get out of the corner, just trying to set back to the mid screen a little bit, but the pressure is on. Slowly trying to make something happen. I'll just push back to the other side of the corner. And PatNeko just slowly trying to make it way and gets a nice 5A and starting to get more damage on the board, slowly evening up this damage range.
Definitely. And Makoto just trying to get something going. Overheads into nothing. Going to be returning back to that neutral game situation. Going to bring out the Noel. Yeah, brings out the Orie too. I definitely think has a better chance at this matchup here, but an insane trade. Oh my god, where is the Noel going? I have no idea, but another confident grab coming out.
Looking good so far. Kizzsu slowly bringing the Noel to the corner. It's been this character's been a little bit of a problem for them. I know we've been talking about that. Yeah, this Kizzsu looks very comfortable, but the PatNeko has just been doing really well and keeping the Noel pretty slippery, but unfortunately we'll be going down here. Makoto, no slouch on PatNeko's end, but a level 1 residence is not going to make this easy.
Not, but the Makoto, I definitely think out of all the characters is been putting in a lot of work, but this neutral game is really difficult for them to go around, not being able to convert off that 5 heat punish, but does get the, I think, cross up there. Insane work here from Kizzsu.
Not going to kill this fight yet, but one-touch situation, keeping the pressure up, and oh my god, yeah, just really nice work. And and getting the empty jump low on PatNeko there.
It's just been, that first game was definitely them feeling each other out, but just like can't be understated. Kizzsu is doing some things in a Noel matchup that like I haven't seen like anyone else do. Just the confidence of grabbing, knows exactly where Noel's weak points are. It has been some excellent play, and PatNeko has definitely really been struggling to make the Noel work on the point because of that.
Oh no, he got crushed, but unfortunately no punish on it. And a little bit of a scramble here, and PatNeko comes out favorably in these opening moments.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter how good your adaptations are when you're in the corner sometimes, but gets out of the situation, just playing patiently, probably waiting for an opportunity, but gets hit by the overhead, not anything too big, and we're already seeing some of PatNeko's adaptations here when it comes to the Noel. Yeah, baiting out that grab, but unfortunately not going to get the punish as Orie is in a low situation. Kizzsu not going to find an opportunity to get her out, I don't think so, but that is just one super away, but nice spacing there with a 5A, able to get that hit on the Makoto.
We're good so far, trying to keep the pressure. Oh no, trying to go for an unblockable setup, but PatNeko ready for it and just push block, not wanting to deal with it, and it's all just solo Izayoi. We haven't really seen Kizu's Izayoi like come out to play that much in these open zones, so let's see what they can do. Their solo character Lepa just gets caught. Their 2-4C teleport gets caught by Noel 6P.
Popping the cross combo, maybe wanting to do some type of setup, I'm not sure. Actually was somehow stole the corner there. Could have been a rough situation, not a counter hit, so don't think that's going to be a confirm. But yeah, that is deceptively plus, and PatNeko making a proper adaptation to get their first game.
Really nice, and yeah, that was honestly, like, given the live totals, pretty convincing so far. So I think PatNeko just a little bit of a took a little bit of time to warm up, but you know, I think just from that match alone, they're exuding a lot more confidence and comfortability in this set. So I think they're slowly realizing that between the two characters that Kizzsu is playing, Orie is definitely more the problem here, and they've in that match they did a really good job at taking them out.
Yeah, definitely. And I really like what I was seeing from PatNeko. Playing at a distance where grab isn't as free of an option and being more ballsy when it comes to some of their mixed potential setups. Because like, I think they realize like Kizzsu is looking for very specific things, and you know, just trying to mix it up as much as possible. And Orie is already at half life.
That's a good point too, because as you mentioned, you know, PatNeko is just trying to mix things up, and I think Kizzsu is ready for one, like the first layer of what PatNeko is doing, but PatNeko just showcasing that they're more than just one layer with this team, and it worked out pretty nicely.
The setup, a nice TK, but no, you know what? Makoto DP not quite able to make it happen, and good navigation around that 6P. A lot of characters looking low. That could have potentially been a dead Orie, but it is not going to be one-touch scenario. DP's out of the situation, does not want to have to deal with it. A nice 4P check, blocks the overhead too, but not going to be punishing those drives.
Kizzsu playing with fire right now. Orie is pretty low so far. Might needs to find a good way to kill them out or bring them out, but they're just letting them play, and it worked out pretty well so far. I don't think it should be a kill on the Noel fight yet. Actually,
yeah, that should be a kill. Yeah, that should be dead. And once again, the solid, confident Orie playing such in their favor here, but immediately getting smacked here on the Izayoi. Makoto has a decent hill to climb up, but is most certainly not insurmountable, as they just try to maintain all this pressure, but just get pushed out.
Yeah, Makoto, level 3 resist this time, but no red health to really gain back, but I'd say Makoto has like a pretty above average damage output even on some of the more basic starters. But unfortunately, doesn't look like they're going to get it. Combo extension, and Kizzsu takes it 3-1 over PatNeko.
Definitely, I was liking some of those adaptations that PatNeko had to offer, but unfortunately just didn't have enough fuel in the tank to surmount the Orie Izayoi composition. Very interesting stuff coming out from Kizzsu as always, but they will have to adapt accordingly to SethMitchy here, who I believe this is this is a run back. They did get 3-0'd on the winner side of the bracket, but I am in belief that they have the capability to make a comeback happen.
Yeah, it's definitely doable, and you know we saw slowly throughout that set that, you know, as you mentioned, it was definitely one of those 3-0s, but it was close though, and I'm very much inclined to agree, especially towards the tail of this set. We did see Kizzsu make some adjustments to navigate around what SethMitchy was doing. So I'm, in terms of some of the sets that we've seen so far, I'm really excited that we're getting to see this one.
Yeah, and I don't know what their mentality is going to be in this set, but they are already getting crossed up. One of the most disgusting things that Hart has to offer. I think that was another cross up too. Trying to set up maybe a sandwich scenario, but did it pop the CC just in time? And you know what? Like, SethMitchy, I think making some good adaptations here just puts a lot of pressure on Orie. Realizing just how confidently Kizzsu is playing, is they're going to test that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think slowly throughout this set, if you know the other participants have been watching, is that Kizzsu's Orie is comparatively between the two the threat here. So I think, you know, being able to take them down early on, I think really ups their chances of taking games against Kizzsu. And yeah, I think that was one of the first few times that we've seen Kizzsu really just actively use burst just to get the Orie out, because I think they're also realizing that this is a character that's been allowing me to obtain victory compared to the Izayoi, so I think it's within their best interest to make sure that Orie stays alive.
Certainly, but bringing it back in, very risky proposition for sure, but a nice block on the Abari 5C, and yeah, that is a very tough point to burst out from Orie. Going to be maintaining this momentum here, but there is quite a bit of life to be dealt here, and a nice air buckle with DP is going to be bringing some of it. Alright, life total's looking a lot more even, but the heart is coming in.
Looking good so far, but yeah, Kizzsu's Orie, again, it's a situation where they just want to keep them in because it's just the character I feel like they're most confident on. Almost lost it right there. Lost it there though. Off the solo Izayoi. It's definitely going to be a little rough, especially with Izayoi's, you know, if they want to catch them in the air for, or like in a ground and air situation, Izayoi has to commit to a command with a 2-1-4B for her anti-air. But not looking too good right now. Good DP. It's definitely a one-shot situation. Didn't believe in the JA though.
Yeah, they gotta look to get this heart out. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to call her anytime soon. We are reaching Rampage time, which is pretty good for Izayoi overall, but I don't think she's gonna have the time to play with it. Gonna be popping the CC just in case. Gonna be getting both enhanced super, and that should be it in a very, very intense game one.
Yeah, and we're kind of seeing the maybe the like mental and, you know, if they do that, you know, the physical notes that they might have left for themselves going into this matchup. So SethMitchy did take it 3-0, but I'm definitely seeing that, you know, these wins that SethMitchy are getting are very hard fought.
Can't escape from crossing
Very
fate.
much so. You can count them down, but you can't count them out until the buzzer rings here. But this heart definitely coming in. A nice contest there from SethMitchy, going to be putting that Orie into the corner position.
Getting pretty cheeky with some of the homing setups. I also got crossed up there a little bit too, but SethMitchy looking good, getting caught out with another DP. Heart is almost in the red now. And yeah, just bringing in the Yumi. I feel like they have similar. I feel like they have similar game plans right now. Their point characters are the ones that's been putting in comparatively a lot, like the most work between the two. So they definitely want to maintain and keep them alive and just allow them to get some health back.
Definitely. And SethMitchy, in terms of the life to be gained, has a lot more on their side. Bringing in the solo Orie. This is so risky, but gets the low check. Hey, returning back to neutral, kind of maybe realizing their life level is low, but not looking for an opportunity to swap out, but a nice row setup going to be allowing some more damage on this. Even returns the combo, almost dying there, but like we just keep on going in and out with this Orie, but it does not matter, she is going.
Yeah, and they're definitely going to try and go for a kill right here. Keep it simple. No, unfortunately didn't get the 2-1-4 BA. Or a BB, but still neither positive. They were able. They did two things. They were able to get their Orie out safely, and they only had to spend 2 meters. It's all up to SethMitchy's Yumi.
Definitely teleports for Ryan Hugh. Nothing personnel, kids. Spending some more meter. Not sure if they're able to get the kill of the scenario, but one-touch scenario is always going to be a threat. 4P coming out, but no proper safe jump. Just trying to make something happen here, using 4Ps to be a deterrent for SethMitchy's approaches here, but running out a lot of this residence time. A lot of chip. That could have been a disgusting happy birthday. Hits the throw, however, and the tides may be turning in their favor.
Yeah, it's a one-touch situation for honestly like everyone on board right now, and SethMitchy has been getting a lot of miles out of these EX Snowbirds with the residence of chip, but it's only working out good, but risky DP. Oh no! Okay.
Ooh. Gets the low check. Gets the low check, but not quite ready to convert off it. Gets the nothing personnel kit. Kizzsu taking the first game of SethMitchy in another intense set. Or game, I can say.
Looking really good right now, and it's just it's such a intense back and forth. Like I mean, as I'm talking about it, it's just like, there's a lot of moments where I'm just like screaming internally, like, "Oh God, get out of there!" or like, just do something, keep your characters alive, just have that self-preservation kick back in.
Yeah, it's like they're playing so confidently, but like it has worked out all night, and like I don't see a reason to stop it. They're this confident with their Orie, and they haven't been contested so far. Like, keep her in, sure. She has gotten so much mileage here, and like, even though she's taking a lot of hits right now, I know as soon as they're able to get their footing, it's gonna be all golden for them, but they're struggling so far, but a very brave DP might be able to start it.
Right, 5C. I understand. But yeah, SethMitchy having a life lead, but getting a nice, Kizzsu getting a nice grab opening. But before she drops out there, happy birthday! I don't think this will be a dead heart just yet, but it's going to be close.
Nah, that's not gonna kill. I don't know Orie damage enough for that. We'll be putting a one-shot scenario. Can just hit maybe a TK overhead to seal the deal, but a nice burst one is pumping the brakes at just the right time, and the Orie is gaming right now.
Looking good so far, but a good DP. Yeah, that hits both sides, so SethMitchy doesn't really have to hold that if they please. But yeah, just Kizzsu again, play confident, go! Happy birthday, and it's all just solo or Izayoi again. But Izayoi pretty healthy and level 4 presence, so this is far from undoable. Unless you get a starter like that, I think this might be it.
Yeah, Yumi, well known for those high damage combos, pop the CC just in case of the 4 bars on deck, and just like that, the confidence is there, was there with the solo Orie, but sometimes you just get destroyed like that. Unfortunately, Kizzsu will be losing that game, but it is 2-1.
No, it's an excellent work by SethMitchy as well, because there's a lot of situations where I think it feels like they're smelling blood in the water, because they, as I mentioned, I think they start to realize that Orie is a problem between the two characters on Kizz's team, and they're actively making strides, especially when Orie is low, to just go on an offensive situation just to take out the Orie if they possibly can. And it's they're up 2 games in the set, and it's been working out so far.
So the 60s coming out, trying to jump into the situation, but unfortunately getting clipped there. Alright, just trying to go for a homing cancel. I'm not sure what they wanted out of it, but they nonetheless will be getting a throw.
Looking good. SethMitchy keeping up the vortex right now. Kizzsu's getting out, but keeping the pressure up, but just gets clipped low again. You don't want to lose your Orie right now! Okay, they brought Izayoi out, getting some damage on the board with them, but at the very least, their star character stays alive. I think that's the most important thing to note here.
I'm so surprised that the Izayoi burst actually got hit there. That's a notoriously sour spot when it comes to burst, but the Izayoi coming in and kind of proving, like, very confidently hitting these Izayoi combos, and they're still confident with them on point despite Orie being the star of the show, maintaining that aggression. Just going for some safe pokes, nothing too fancy, but gets the air unblockable DP, getting out of the situation, returning back to neutral. This is a SethMitchy game for sure, especially with that 5-8. That should be good.
Going to Currents here, just cashing out the super immediately, not letting the Orie get a chance to burst in. All the solo Orie, I think this is the first time in the set that Orie has been able to be the anchor character, and I don't think Kizzsu is upset about that one bit. Definitely going to be a tall mountain to climb, given the characters on SethMitchy's side.
Definitely, and getting the 236C check go into the super, what is it gonna be? Awesome stretcher scenarios, nice block on those so far, just trying to get something going, but SethMitchy not deterred by any of this, and a nice throw on the way down, but not baiting the burst. I don't think the throw combo into super would have killed, so we're gonna get something going, but the solo Orie just maintaining that confidence, but gets hit by the throw there. 3 bars on deck. CC available, and I think that is going to be the end of Kizzsu's run. Well fought, nonetheless, going to be bowing out on 3rd place position, but an excellent showcase tonight.
Yeah. It was really nice because this, you know, the two people that we have in Grand Finals right now, we've seen them, you know, whether it's in Big 8 or, you know, maybe TMN bracket, but this is the first time that we've been exposed to Kizzsu's gameplay, and just I really like what I saw tonight. Unfortunately, they are unfortunately couldn't get the run back at SethMitchy, but in a beginner bracket with some of these people that are some, you know, it's beginner intermediate, and these intermediate players are some pretty promising hitters, and able to make and able to get third place in a bracket like this is no small feat. So really nice work to them, and I hope we'll see them again in a future bracket.
Yeah, always love me some Orie play, and like, you know, despite the title, you know, beginner intermediate bracket, there was such good, just core fundamental Orie gameplay that was very inspiring to watch. You know, naturally, a little rough around the edges, but doesn't matter. They just had some solid, good stuff going on, and I hope to see their Orie Izayoi comp improve. But we can talk about Kizzsu all we want, but there is a grand final set we got to get to here. SethMitchy versus SonicSSB, a run back from the winner's side of the bracket, and a relatively close set between them too.
Yeah, it was 3-2 in SSBSonic's favor, so they are looking pretty good in these opening moments, just getting a good amount of damage on the board, and Ice Super going to be, I believe, a pretty nice 9k on both characters, 8.5 on the Yumi, but looking good so far, and definitely setting a pretty nice precedent for how this first game is going, bro. Let's see if SethMitchy is able to make some adjustments and get some of their footing going. This could be started with a nice vortex.
Throw going to be not quite killing off the Yang, but will be popping Sentinels and putting her in the one-touch zone. That'd be, oh, I think it was a blue beam. Yeah, that was a blue beam. I was like, you can't convert off that normally, can you?
Yeah. Check out, but yeah, SethMitchy getting their momentum on their side again. The life totals are in their favor now.
The cross-up scenario first coming out, not enough time to get anything. Yang popping the Semblance, getting that freeze frame, but getting the overhead check as well. Yang Semblance doing a lot of damage, might be able to just seal out the deal on the Yumi. No, not quite.
Not quite, but excellent navigation by SSBSonic. Just able to get a little bit of cheeky setup, and I feel like that was a bit of a catch-22 situation there. And SethMitchy off the Soul Heart, but this has been the star of the show for them.
The first Yang gonna be killing off the Ruby, or sorry, killing off the Yang, putting them in a one-touch scenario, and yeah, and here's the bonker overhead check, going to be allowing SethMitchy to take one on their board. Very vital game that they won.
Yeah. Yeah, just I'd imagine that they're feeling pretty good in these opening moments, because it was looking a little dark for them, especially at the Happy Birthday start, but they were just able to stabilize as much as possible, and it worked out pretty nicely so far. So I think with those in mind, we're just in for a really nice set this time around. I mean, not to say that the winner's final set wasn't great, but I feel like just seeing an extension of it is going to be pretty nice.
So, the shoulder tackle not quite hitting, but SethMitchy not deterred at all. Nice checking the Yang ground button. We're virtually dropping the combo and getting anti-aired for their troubles.
Yeah, even though SethMitchy has been pretty slippery with the heart homing, one thing about SSBSonic that's been really good is just they've been pretty confident with trying to catch heart with Yang 2B of all times. Because compared to some of the other anti-airs, it's one of the anti-airs that makes Yang jump. So it's I think it's pretty confident and pretty brave to commit to an air button like that, but just they're listening, man. They're listening to me.
Yeah, they might have been able to kill there. The freaking heart cross rate is ridiculous. Gonna be allowing a safe swap into the Yang. Fortunately, not gonna be getting flipped by the 4 or the 5B. Oh my god, the trade there, but no full confirm. SethMitchy definitely playing with fire here, and yeah, Ruby's just gonna get this grab combo into the potential sandwich. Just gets hit. That should be an immediate catch out of the super.
Good call on that, because I feel like even if they tried to burst, it would have been a kill on the Yang. But just gets caught. Looks like they're trying to up back, but just getting caught with the quick 5-8 from Ruby. And SSBSonic taking a game right back. So it's really nice to see just both these players just go back and forth the entire time.
Very much so. I would say, in terms of the games that we saw so far, very much Sonic SSB favored there, but just considering the adaptations we had in the first game around, definitely looking like SethMitchy can still make it through it. But like when it comes to the grand final side, especially when you're loser side of the bracket, every single game inches you slowly to just losing the bracket. So any forward momentum that they can get at the start is going to be helpful.
I think maybe SSBSonic has a little bit of, they might be trying to warm up a little bit because they've been sitting in finals for a little bit. But SethMitchy probably feeling pretty good, pretty warmed up, all things considered, and getting a nice grab in these opening moments of this game 3. Slowly trying to have some offense here, but just gets clipped low this time, and SSBSonic just getting some more pressure on the board.
Yeah, that was a pretty sassy potential sandwich scenario, but not quite. And yeah, SethMitchy just bit in this blender for most of the game here, but nice getting out of the corner. Their time to get started on something great here. Nice cross block though. I have no idea how that block is. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. That's some insane work, but a nice 4K to catch both the characters, and I'd imagine they want to maximize the damage as much as possible with this. Oh no, just going for a bit of the vortex, but unfortunately, make it a safe jump, and SSBSonic just slowly running away with more momentum here. Oh no, you gotta get that heart out! But nice back holding into the JP. I don't think they're... Oh no, they got the extra meter. Not going to kill the Yang. She's a big girl, she got 18k health, but I think you need to get her out!
Oh no! Alright, I mean, like, oh my god, that could have been really bad for the heart. I was gonna say, like, this could be pretty stressful for SessMitchy because one good happy birthday hit, and that's gonna be it, but a nice take on the throw. Sonic SSB just wants to get something down, almost a dead heart, not gonna be converting off that air-to-air with the Ruby, just pulling out a bunch of heart butters with a 5-beat check. Might just be what SessMitchy needs to seal out the deal, but misses the combo.
Yeah, unfortunately, ran into the 5B, but unfortunately SethMitchy just able to stabilize and followed up. And they're on reset point.
Love isn't necessary.
It's so close there, and like, I think overall the Heart 4Ps have been risky, but it is a risk I think SethMitchy is willing to take just because like Heart 4P isn't necessarily the best in the world for an anti-air, but it's really good at catching jump-ins because it's relatively fast, all things considered, and considering the way that Sonic SSB was approaching, it was catching them a couple times. It's just like, that heart was so low. One bad assist call, and it might have been GG's.
Yeah, definitely, but the risk SethMitchy took was calculated, and they got rewarded for it as such, and they're looking pretty good into this game 4 here. We'll see if SSBSonic wants to try and close this out as soon as possible, or if SethMitchy just wants to ride the momentum and reset this bracket.
Looking at the 5C, I definitely think that was supposed to be a homing setup here. Last time SethMitchy was in this corner, it was so hard to get out of, but there's going to be popping the burst there, but a nice active swap over into the Ruby, going to be a nice chunk of damage, but it gets hit by the 5B. That's going to be a lot more damage here, and going to be spending that EX, go into the corner, hits the Oki setup, and able to bait the burst. SethMitchy looking to reset the bracket just with the momentum they're showing here.
Looking pretty good. Oh my god, that was so ballsy, and it worked out. No, the 2-1-4-8 just a little too far for that to connect. It's off the solo Ruby. Level 2 resin, so it's definitely doable, but just gets clipped by the 4A. And we are going to a bracket reset.
Yeah, just showcasing a lot better adaptations compared to the winner's side of the bracket. A lot more confident navigating around the Yang, Ruby, and SSBSonic. Not quite finding a solid answer to the heart shenanigans just yet.
They did show some navigations, but since they were in the winner side of the bracket, the score is reset and it's now just a first to 3 in its purest form. But hopefully the matches in grand finals were a bit of we're able to get them some data to make some adjustments to turn this around. But we'll see if SethMitchy is just riding this high and see if they'll take it.
Definitely, and like I like the hyper-aggressive game plan Mitchy has been applying. I definitely think some of the early stuff they're playing more on the defensive side of things, but like I think they've regained their confidence when it comes to just pushing forward and applying as much pressure as they possibly can. It can be very spooky against Yang for sure, but because Yang's armor is, I believe, I think it's only body property armor and doesn't really go through overheads or lows. It's kind of hard for Yang to have to deal with, and anti-air hard is always such a risky proposition that, like, no matter how good your anti-air is, it's like it can be super difficult to have to deal with.
Yeah. But SSBSonic looking good in these opening moments and getting some decent damage on the board. This 5B, just a straightforward combo, but unfortunately, SethMitchy turning the momentum back in their favor. Life total, that feels like slightly SethMitchy's favor.
Try to go for a potential TRM setup. Just going for some throws, throwing out some 5A checks there, and nice covers there with the 5P, but not quite ready for it. That Yumi is looking quite low. Gonna have to. Oh yeah, never mind. Do not have enough time to burst out of the situation, and this is quite the momentum turn from the winner side of grand finals.
Looking pretty good so far, but a good backcombing to just avoid a DP. SethMitchy, unfortunately, draw combo, but still some decent damage on the board for Ruby. But they're dealing with SethMitchy has to go through both Yang and Ruby, who are about 75% of the health still. So level 1 message only, but this could be a really good start for it. So looking good so far. Didn't go for the homing vortex, unfortunately, but whiffs the DP. But unfortunately, not calling out the burst. Still looking pretty good though, but just slowly bit by bit, this life total is slowly swinging to be even.
Yeah, and actually able to anti-hit the heart, but no full conversion. Excellent tech on the throws. I have seen like 3 throws tech tonight. These beginner players, like they got better tech throws than me.
Yeah. No, like, actually though, it's just I'm seeing some of these situations where I'm like, I wouldn't expect to grab, and these beginner players are definitely ready.
Wait, what? How did it? What? What? Excuse me? How did what? Sorry, I'm flabbergasted. How did she not get thrown?
I got nothing for you. In the 7 years I've been playing this game, I've not seen that once.
That setup specifically is supposed to be like it's supposed to be a throw bait. What the? Anyways, it's gonna be one game here for SonicSSB. Definitely not out of it yet, despite like the bad start that SethMitchy has. Proving that their solo heart game is really good.
Looking pretty good so far. Brings in the Yumi just to try and save as much health on heart as possible. Trying to get something happening, but unfortunately it just gets clipped out of 5B. What I really have noticed about the way SSBSonic has been just operating Ruby is that they just really like the general flow of how she just operates in the air. Her good air buttons and her 214 series, so it's working out pretty nicely so far. But Ruby is on the back foot in terms of health right now.
Sets up the nice cross-up block there, and the 5B check. It'll be a huge amount of damage. Or I guess they only had 1 bar, never mind. Press the 5B, press the funny armor button. Thankfully, Yang isn't quite in semblance just yet, so her offensive potential is relatively tampered with, and getting a nice happy birthday here. Even if Ruby falls out of the situation, that should still be a kill. And yeah, putting Ruby in that one-touch scenario. Did she just crouch under that gun blast?
I hate this character, bro!
Oh my god, that's gonna be a pretty confidently won game here from SethMitchy.
Score is 1-1, I believe. So it's come on, man. Ain't no way.
No, if it was against Ruby, I can accept that.
That's true. But
Privilege v privilege. Like, what would you prefer? Who has more privilege?
would you rather have one privilege or two privileges?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
Alright,
no!
yeah, nice whiff punish on that 2B.
Yeah. I think what SethMitchy is doing in these sets as they go forward is that, you know, SSBSonic has been feeling pretty confident about these two beasts to catch hard, but unfortunately I think SethMitchy is starting to learn the general angles of where they can approach Yang in the air to make it whiff. So it's been working out pretty nicely for them so far. But a good burst by SethMitchy.
These Yumi 5As cannot be underestimated. The stupidest jab in the game, I swear to God, working out in spades here, keeping that JC safe when they found their momentum, going to be going in, popping their CC of their own, but it's not going to be super thunder. Actually hits the overhead, but no, runs right into the 5B, ran out that CC time too, so that's a dead game.
All the Silver Ruby once again, but blocks a DP, and not looking too good for SSBSonic so far, but it's looking very close.
Yeah, that's a possibility to keep it safe. Maybe tried to punish it there, not respecting the CC and SethMitchy on their way to taking the entire tournament.
Looking good so far, and yeah, they're making a lot of proper adjustments, and you know the momentum is definitely in their favor. Just that time making that. You know, feeling that confidence from loser side and just making their way up to reset the bracket. They're definitely riding high right now. And hopefully they haven't lost gas just yet because they still have one more game to take.
Yeah, for sure.
Can't escape from crossing fate.
Oh, is he gonna start off? Yeah, SSBSonic playing a little bit more aggressive than normal on the round start here. Almost working out, but the back homing going to be getting some momentum going, but like unfortunately just gets beaten out of the air. That nice check there, not going into the super, but the constant aggression already put into the almost red health zone territory. SSB playing pretty confidently with the heart on point though.
Looking pretty good. I feel like this is a one-touch situation provided what's going on. Tries to cause something, but unfortunately, yeah, SethMitchy hitting the brakes just in time and blocking the super. Not going to kill the Yang. Doesn't have enough meter to do so, but both characters are bleeding on Sonic, SSBSonic's end. Thankfully had enough cross gauge just to get the Ruby in and maintain a 2-2.
Yeah, and that sneaky 6P in the back, the hidden snowbirds coming out, and we're just trying to swing for the fences, not respecting the back homing, gets hit there, choose which character you want to die, and suddenly this game for Sonic is looking like an L here as the baited DP going to allow SethMitchy to take the tournament 3-1 in their favor. A very, very close set though, despite all that.
Yeah, you know, in winners finals it was 3-2 in SSBSonic's favor, but SethMitchy taking it, I believe 3-1 both times in grand finals and the grand final reset. So very hard fought. SethMitchy just was able to stay composed and took the entire thing, and excellent work to them. Again, to round out the top three, we have SethMitchy in first, SSBSonic in second, and Kizzsu in third. So it was excellent work. Pretty sizable bracket. Unfortunately, there was a good, like a handful of DQs, but it was a very good showing for this first tournament. So excellent work to everyone that showed. It was really nice seeing what some of the up and coming players of the BBTag scene are capable of. So nice work to everyone that showed up.
Yeah, very, very exciting games to see. The grand finals was a treat to watch. Very close as overall. And, you know, I got to see a lot of nice adaptations and general gameplay variety when it came to the entirety of this tournament. So, really excited to see more of these in the future. But, of course, gotta give a big shout out to my fellow commentator, Red E30, for holding it down at the end of the mic. It's actually been a while since I've commentated with them, but it's always a pleasure. We flow off each other very well, so it was a smooth night. As commentary is always very big appreciation to him. Big shout outs to our TOs/TOs, I believe. Midori, aka the Distant Observer in the IF chat, and Sykes for holding it down on the bracket running side of things. I believe there are some more people that I should be thanking on the kind of the behind the scenes here, but like I'm not entirely sure who I should be thanking. Mito, like give me the list.
I will say this. Shouts to Sykes. They were. As far as I know, they were also doing a good amount of TOing and just calling people to the stream. So, Sykes, if you can hear me, thank you as well for managing everything on the back end and stuff. It's always appreciated. So, you know, it's this stuff isn't easy to do alone, and having a team is very much appreciated. And good work was put around across the board.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it better myself. That was honestly great. I was really nervous this entire week, just thinking, oh man, we gotta do a lot to prepare for this. We gotta make sure it goes as well as it can, because beginner brackets are probably one of the most important brackets to have nowadays, because these people are very impressionable for their first tournament, or one of their first tournaments anyway. So I really want to be able to give them an environment that not only do they feel comfortable in, but they're able to have a smooth and fun bracket experience so that they feel motivated to come back. I already saw a couple people say that they're disappointed in how they played and they're already passionate about continuing to improve, and ultimately that makes me incredibly happy to see. That just means we achieved our goal with the bracket, and everyone at IF, including both of you for holding it down on commentary, made things so much better. I think I'm happy to say that this was a grand success. Intertwining Fates beginners brackets are here to stay from now on, and we're going to be doing this every other week. We're going to make sure that beginners get their time to shine in a different format. I think it's especially important for PSN, because I think this is the only one that ever like actually happens for them. I know it's going to be like a monthly break between, but that gives you plenty of time to practice between each. I am incredibly thankful for both of you for doing all that you did on the bracket and helping me make sure that, you know, the open lobby ran well and everything alongside. I am thankful for Sykes for making sure that everything goes well there, for Atkins for keeping the advertisements on as fresh as possible. He was the one that reminded me a few times just to go ahead and do that. I think that's basically it. I do have a few things I want to improve on my end, but ultimately that's something I can discuss with my team. I think the last thing we need to do is thank everyone for coming by. This is not necessarily new. We did this a couple years ago before we started running the Masters of stuff, but since it's been so long and the presentations improved so much, I think essentially it's a brand new thing. So I appreciate people willing to take the time on that and give us the opportunity to prove that Intertwining Fate still got it. We are still as professional as it can be, and we look forward to continuing to give that impression to everyone. I believe that's where we sign off for the night. Do we have any shills we want to do for any tournaments or anything before we do to you two?
Well, I'll let you go on.
I think for the most part, like any beginners that are watching the stream right now, or like enter the bracket, either or, make sure you guys like be proactive about asking for help in the Intertwining Fates Discord. There are plenty of resources and plenty of people willing to help you out. I know a lot of you out there didn't feel super confident about how you played, and even those who did well have some stuff to work on. So make sure you guys go to all the relevant channels, and yeah, besides that, if you guys are interested in kind of jumping into a Sharp Take for whatever reason, we do have, me and E30 are part of the main WNF crew, the Wednesday Night Fight crew. We are, what are we, like 6 p.m. PST, right? E30?
Yes, 6 p.m. PST.
Yeah, 6 p.m. PST every single Wednesday, unless stated otherwise. It is a pretty chill place. Maybe not super beginner friendly, to be entirely honest. We got a lot of killers there, but hey, It's really useful if you want to look at gameplay, or if you want to jump into the Shark Tank. Like I said, that is an option. We kind of touched upon it briefly, but Trading Mode Network is a option available for some of you beginners. I believe they are PC only though. So if you're a beginner and interested in that, make sure you guys check those out. And another big tournament, the Big 8, will be running on Tuesday. I forget exactly what the time is. I think 5 p.m. PST is when when Donkon runs it. Yeah. So 5 p.m. PST for those brackets. It's a interesting rule set. He normally does something called Astral rules. TLDR, if your character gets astraled, you're not allowed to play them in a tournament. Once again, I wouldn't call it a very new player friendly bracket, but make sure you check those out if you're willing to watch some top level online BBTag gameplay. But I think it's very important that our beginners have access to those resources and make sure that they know that they exist. So if you two have anything else you would like to add upon that, I'll let you go ahead. But otherwise, that's all I have to say.
I don't have much. You shared the main thing over there. WNF is streamed by myself, E30, and Lon Lily is one of our frequent flyers, our consistent commentators, and one of our best. And that's another thing. It was mentioned. Go watch Kraken Atkins' flowchart video if you're looking for maybe, honestly, if you're just looking to play the game and you're maybe looking for a partner or just a point character to play, that flowchart is available. And what he's rolling out right now is a bunch of YouTube shorts that just showcase, hey, I want to play this character, but I'm not sure about my partner. Who do I play, and who is an effective partner for them? So make sure to check that out. I think that's going to be an excellent resource, especially for the newer players, to really get their foot in the door in terms of, they maybe their team that they like playing isn't really working out for them, and they want to do something that it's a bit of a middle ground of, hey, I want to play a character that I really like, and I want to play a character that works well with them. So it's a really nice middle ground between that scenario for some players, and I think that's what a lot of people do as well. So be sure to check him out. He's pushing content every day, if not almost every day. So another person to really support in the scene. So be sure to check them out. And thanks again for the Intertwining Fates crew for having us on as commentators. Very much appreciated. Mito, I'll give the floor to you, but I think if you have me on board, there's a hidden contract that says I gotta close things out. So if you have anything else to share, then I'll let you have your piece for right now.
No, I believe that's it. I got my $10 out of both of you.
Ain't no way. Not the $10 commentator lore.
Look, we gotta develop the IF Icebreak somehow, right?
Oh, God.
But yeah, no, I think we covered everything. If you're interested in playing in one of these tournaments later down the line, I'm gonna go ahead and make the new start link for it within the next day. You'll see it on my Twitter at @MildOrley. And I believe that'll be it. I appreciate everyone for coming by, and we're gonna be wrapping up for the night. Thank you all so much for coming by. Take care. Have a great night.
All right.